House will please return to order. Those persons not having privilege of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Clerk will please report the next bill for what purpose is adjournment of the 35th. Seek recognition. Doug Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to return to the 10th order of business for purpose of a motion.
Objection is heard.
I'll move.
Gentleman from the 35th moves that the House return to the 10th order of business. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Okay, no's appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Clerk will please report the next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5087 relating to the Interstate Cosmetology Licensure Compact.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? Gentleman is 60th, Douglas Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the committee substitute for House Bill 5087 is to enact the Interstate Cosmetology Licensure Compact. This compact is active and has already been enacted in 10 states, including Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, and Maryland. Also, legislation to enact the compact is currently pending in 8 additional states. Enacting this compact will allow cosmetologists licensed by the Board of Barbers and Cosmetologists to obtain a multi-state license to legally practice in every other state in which the compact has been enacted. It will also allow other member states' licensees to practice in West Virginia pursuant to a multi-state license. Additionally, the committee substitute adds a new section to current code granting Board of Barbers and Cosmetologists the express authority to require national and state criminal history background checks of licensees who desire to practice in other states pursuant to a multi-state license. This express authorization was added to ensure that the FBI can perform background checks for and share information with the board, thereby allowing the board to comply with the compact's requirements. I urge passage.
The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 88 ayes, 0 nays, and 11 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5087.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5088 relating to natural resource police officer retirement.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 85th, Doug Hott, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. The committee substitute for House Bill 5088 would amend provisions of the West Virginia Code relating to the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources Police Officer Retirement System, otherwise known as NRPOS. This bill would increase the retirement benefit for those members of the West Virginia NRPOS retiring after July 1st, 2029 by increasing the multiplier used in the calculation of benefit from 2.5% to 2.75%. The bill also requires the Division of Natural Resources to make a one-time payment of $4,250,000 to the retirement fund to offset the cost of the plan of the increase in benefit. It's a brief summary, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
Question before the House, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 89 ayes, 1 nay, and 9 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5088.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5091 relating to duties of licensees under the West Virginia Real Estate License Act.
Question before the House, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? Objection is heard. Clerk will please read the bill.
West Virginia Legislature. 2026 Regular Session. Engrossed. Committee Substitute. 4. House Bill 5091. By Delegates Lucas, Kraus, Worrell, Kyle, Hall, Levitt, Browning, McCormick, Clark, Parsons, and Holstein. Originating in the Subcommittee on Government Administration, reported on February 24, 2026. A bill to amend and reenact Section 30-40-26 of the Code of West Virginia, 1931, as amended, relating to the duties of real estate commission licensees. Be it enacted by the Legislature of West Virginia. Article 40. West Virginia Real Estate License Act. Section 30-40-26. Duties of licensees. Every broker, associate broker, and salesperson owes certain inherent duties to the consumer which are required by virtue of the Commission granting a license under this article. The duties include, but are not limited to: A. At the time of securing any contract whereby the broker is obligated to represent a principal to a real estate transaction, every licensee shall supply a true legible copy of the contract to each person signing the contract. B. 1. No consumer shall be required to enter into a buyer's agency agreement prior to execution of a written offer to purchase real property in West Virginia. Any such agreement shall apply only to the transaction contemplated by the written offer, and the agreement shall automatically terminate if and when the contemplated transaction is completed or otherwise terminated, provided that any such agreement may be extended for a definite period upon the written consent of the consumer and the licensee. 2. Any licensee may show real property in West Virginia to any consumer without entering into a buyer's agency agreement. 3. When a licensee prepares a written offer for a consumer to purchase real property in West Virginia, said licensee must provide the consumer with a written disclosure setting forth, at a minimum, the following information: the parties to the transaction, the brokerage services to be provided to the consumer by the licensee, and the compensation, if any, to be paid to the licensee. C. Any contract in which a broker is obligated to represent a principal to a real estate transaction shall contain a definite expiration date, and no provision may be included in any contract whereby the principal is required to notify the broker of his or her intention to cancel the contract after the definite expiration date. D. No provision may be inserted in any contract for representation that would obligate the person signing the contract to pay a fee, commission, or other valuable consideration to the broker after the contract's expiration date, if the person subsequently enters into a contract for representation with a different broker. E. Every licensee shall disclose in writing, on the Notice of Agency Relationship form promulgated by the Commission, whether the licensee represents the seller, the buyer, the seller and the buyer, the landlord, the tenant, or the landlord and the tenant. The disclosure shall be made prior to any person signing any contract for representation by a licensee or a contract for the sale or purchase of real estate. F. Every licensee shall promptly deliver to his or her principal every written offer received. G. Every licensee shall make certain that all the terms and conditions of a real estate transaction are contained in any contract prepared by the licensee. H. At the time of securing the signature of any party to a contract, the licensee shall deliver a true copy of the contract to the person whose signature was obtained. 1. Upon the final acceptance or ratification of any contract, the licensee shall promptly deliver a true copy to each party that has signed the contract.
Is there debate on the bill? From the 24th Delegate Lucas is recognized on the bill. Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill, please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 80 ayes, 10 nays, and 9 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5091.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5260 relating generally to medical cannabis.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman on the 23rd, I got Worrell to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of House Bill 5260 is to expand the approved forms of medical cannabis to include lozenges and gelatins. I urge passage.
Question again before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There are 66 ayes, 26 nays, 7 members absent. Majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5260.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5323 relating to indexing of license and stamp fees.
Question before the House, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman on the 14th, Douglas Foggin to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5323 amends 20-2-42 of the state code. This bill makes some minor code citation format updates and adds a cross-reference to Chapter 20, Article 2B for increases in license and stamp fees. Most importantly, the bill deletes the prohibition on increases of license and stamp fees based on the Consumer Price Index after January 1 of 2021. This deletion will allow the DNR to adjust its fee schedules for inflation. I urge passage.
Question again before the House is shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman 97, Douglas Anders is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would my good friend from the 14th yield for some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, again, just going over the purpose of the bill. I understand it's going to start tying the cost of hunting and fishing licenses and stamps to CPI increase?
Yes.
And there's no sunset clause?
Excuse me?
There isn't a sunset clause in the bill anymore? In other
No.
words, it can continue growing as the CPI increases, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And would you agree that CPI, or Consumer Price Index, is the way, while it's not directly tied to inflation, it's how we judge inflation?
I guess you could say that.
Okay. And finally, would you agree that perhaps the more government spends, the more inflation increases?
I would have to defer you to someone with a better sense of that topic.
Okay.
I can tell you about deer hunting
Okay.
or catching a fish even.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Permission to speak to the bill?
Gentleman is recognized.
What this does is this will continue to increase the cost of hunting and fishing licenses in West Virginia, as well as any excess stamps that you have to buy, like trout stamps, or perhaps the upland bird stamp that was discussed. While CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is not directly tied to inflation, it is the indicator that we use to determine the inflation rate. And unfortunately, it is true that inflation increases the more government spends. And since governments have been proven not to reduce spending, but always increase spending, we're going to continually increase the cost of hunting or fishing licenses, and for that reason, I'm a no.
Question again before the House is shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Does the gentleman on the 14th wish to close debate on the bill? Gentleman is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. This bill does not increase hunting and fishing license fees. It simply permits the DNR to bring the discussion to the table. It still requires any proposed increase to go before the legislature for approval through the legislative rules making process. And the last time there was an increase was in 2010. And speaking with the director in committee, he said it would be somewhere maybe a 15% increase if there was one based on the inflation index. So I urge passage. Thank you very much.
Again, the question before the House is shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 61 ayes, 31 nays, and 7 members absent. The majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5323.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5325, creating an emeritus license status for retired physicians, podiatric physicians, and physician assistants who meet eligibility criteria.
Question before the House is shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? Objection is heard. Clerk will please present the bill.
West Virginia Legislature. 2026 regular session. Engrossed. House Bill 5325, by Delegates Rohrbach and Ellington. Introduced February 9, 2026, referred to the Committee on Government Organization. A bill to amend the Code of West Virginia, 1931, as amended, by adding a new section, designated Section 30-3-12A, relating to creating an emeritus physician license status for retired physicians, podiatric and physician assistants who meet eligibility criteria, be it enacted by the Legislature of West Virginia. Article 3. West Virginia Medical Practice Act. Section 30-3-12A. Emeritus physician licenses, rulemaking. A. In acknowledgement of the important service physicians, podiatric physicians, and physician assistants provide to the citizens of West Virginia, the Board may issue, without a fee, an emeritus license to a provider who holds a current, valid license issued by the Board, who has fully retired from clinical professional practice in this state and who submits an application on the form required by the Board that confirms that the individual meets the following qualifications for emeritus status. 1. The applicant is not under investigation for a violation of professional conduct standards by the Board or by any professional licensing board where the applicant holds a professional license. 2. The applicant has practiced as a licensed physician, podiatric physician, or physician assistant in West Virginia for at least 10 years. 3. The applicant has not been the subject of disciplinary action in a jurisdiction where the individual is licensed that resulted in the revocation, surrender, or suspension of the individual's license, and the applicant does not hold a license in any jurisdiction that is subject to probation. And 4. The applicant has voluntarily and fully retired from the active practice of the applicant's profession and does not hold an active registration with the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration. B. Until July 1, 2030, the Board is further authorized to issue, without a fee, an emeritus license to a provider whose license expired prior to July 1, 2025, and who submits an application on the form required by the Board which confirms that the retired provider meets all of the criteria for emeritus licensure set forth in subsection of this section. C. An emeritus license is an honorific license and does not authorize the holder to practice any profession in this state or engage in any clinical practice whatsoever. Licensees in emeritus status are not required to complete continuing education to retain licensure and are exempted from any requirements to the contrary. D. An emeritus license may not be used to obtain a license or privileges to practice in another state, whether by endorsement or reciprocity or through a licensure compact. E. An emeritus license may not be converted to a license to practice the holder's profession. Emeritus licensees who seek to return to active clinical practice must apply to reactivate licensure and meet all of the requirements for reactivation, including any continuing education requirements. F. An emeritus license shall be valid for the life of the holder, without periodic renewal, unless the holder returns to active clinical practice or the Board revokes the license. G. The Board shall promulgate rules for legislative approval in accordance with Section 29A, 3-1 et sec. of this code to effectuate the provisions of this article. The rules shall establish 1. The application process for an emeritus license, which shall, at a minimum, require the applicant to demonstrate eligibility in compliance with this section. 2. Grounds for denial or revocation of an emeritus license, including but not limited to A. Evidence of active clinical practice in any jurisdiction. B. Evidence that the provider retired while under or to avoid a pending Board complaint or investigation process. Or C. Evidence that the provider's West Virginia license was on probation, suspended, revoked, or subject to disciplinary surrender prior to retirement. 3. A process for voluntary relinquishment an emeritus license.
Is there debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There are 91 ayes, 0 nays, and 8 members absent. Majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5325.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk, will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5327, the West Virginia ALS Care Services Act.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? With objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 23rd, Delegate Worrell, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill creates the West Virginia ALS Care Services Program within the Department of Human Services to support individuals living with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. The program is intended to help ALS patients remain in their homes by providing care coordination, caregiver support, and access to necessary services and equipment. The program would include care coordination services, loan programs for assistive technology and medical equipment, and access to the multidisciplinary ALS clinics to improve quality of life and reduce health care costs. I want to say thank you to the gentlelady from the 56th for bringing this bill forward. I urge passage.
You've heard the bill explained. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Lady from the 56th, Delegate Young is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I was going to thank the Chairman of Health for putting the bill up and co-sponsoring it with me. Give me a minute, please, folks. If you don't know, ALS is an always fatal disease that attacks nerve cells within the muscles. It's estimated that at any given time, there's approximately 150 West Virginians that are living with ALS, and it's twice as likely to present in military service members, and we have no idea why. Every state around us except Kentucky has this ALS Care Services program, and I want to be clear, there's no funding appropriated to this bill. We're not spending any new money. We're not mandating that the DOHS does anything. It's just creating this program. They can if they want to. There's 3 pillars, one of which I think is incredibly unique. One of them is supporting the multidisciplinary ALS clinics that we already have in West Virginia. There's one at Marshall, WVU, and there's one here in Charleston. What's really cool about these clinics is that patients can come, they spend 4 or 5 hours, and they get all their medical appointments done at once, which is really great. They can see their physician, their nurses, speech pathologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, respiratory therapists, mental health professionals. We had a doctor from Marshall testify in the health committee, Dr. Hollinger, and it was amazing. He said he's got 30 patients right now, and he's seen over 100 in his time at the ALS clinic. It also has care services navigation for those that are living with ALS and their caregivers. And the part that I think is really cool is an assistive equipment loan program. And that doesn't mean loaning money to folks. It means loaning the actual equipment. So after a family might be done with a Hoyer lift or a ramp, they can give it to the department, and the department can find somebody else that might need it, and they can give it to them, because this stuff can be really, really expensive. And these people have enough to deal with. We can't imagine them going on Facebook Marketplace or wherever to try to find this kind of equipment. So it's no money, just letting people find the equipment. This bill was brought to me by a constituent of mine about 2 years ago. His name's Jason Canterbury. If you check your emails, you're going to have a voice memo from Jason. He was unable to be here today, but he really wanted to share some testimony. So if you guys would check that out in your emails, you've all got it in the last 30 minutes or so, and he's watching right now. Also work with some senators across the aisle after a 3-year battle with ALS. I've been fortunate to spend some time with Jason and get to know him, and I want to share a couple words from him. He said, "My name is Jason Canterbury. I'm 47 years old, and I've suffered with ALS for the past 4 years. It's a vicious disease. Not only rips apart someone's sense of self as it destroys the body, but it also decimates the people who love us most. I've lost decades-long friendships because it's so hard to watch me die. Forces you to constantly readjust your views and pursue day-to-day life with a 100% terminal diagnosis as your world shrinks. ALS is a reductive experience. It's hauntingly lonely in so many ways, as it separates us first from our activities and our bodies, and then the people we love, and eventually from ourselves entirely. It decimates without fear nor favor, leaving its sufferers feeling as if we're alone on a distant planet without a hope in sight. I've decided to plant my feet, straddle the abyss, and turn the pain and grief into grace and action for as long as I have left. I want to celebrate what time remains instead of mourning what I've lost, and work to find support for those living with ALS through legislation like this." In the committee, we also had heard from a man named Levi Bragg. Levi is a pastor from the 49th District. We found out that he was related to the gentleman from the 49th during the Health Committee. And Levi wanted to share these couple of words. "Good afternoon. My name is Levi Bragg, and I'm a lifelong resident of Nicholas County. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel from the West Virginia Army National Guard. My service at home and abroad was both intense and intensely rewarding. I'm thankful for all the opportunities the National Guard provided me. However, my service to this great state and great nation has come at a high cost. Service members and veterans develop ALS at twice the rate of their civilian counterparts. I'm among that population. My current monthly routine to combat ALS requires about 70 man-hours on behalf of my wife and I, and approximately $65,000 a month. These numbers do not count time lost due to the illness for fatigue or side effects of medication. This toll is small compared to what most West Virginians with ALS are enduring. I am one of the blessed ones because I was medically retired from the military and my disease is service-connected, so the vast majority of my expenses are covered. Many of the people I speak for today do not have those privileges. This bill is a first step in mitigating some of the pain, loss, and cost associated with fighting this disease. Supporting this bill supports veterans. Caring about this bill is caring about the disadvantaged, and speaking up is speaking for those who literally no longer have a voice. Standing for this bill is standing for those who cannot any longer. I hope you guys will support this bill. Again, it doesn't appropriate any money, it just sets up the program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 36th, like a green.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to get through this without getting too emotional, but I went to school with Levi Bragg, a good friend of mine. This is an awesome bill. What these gentlemen and ladies go through is hard to put into words. I sincerely support this bill and trust everyone else will as well.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, does the gentleman wish to close debate on the bill? If not, then the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5327.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. For what purpose does the gentleman from the 89th take a canon seek recognition? Gentleman sought recognition a few minutes ago, though.
It was what I approached the bench about, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman's vote did not register on House Bill 5323 relating to indexing of license and stamp fees. Gentleman was present and in his seat. How does the gentleman wish to be recorded? Clerk will please note the preference of the gentleman in the 89th as having been present and in his seat on the roll call for passage of House Bill 5323 as having voted in the negative. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5351 relating to modernization of fees generated from emergency communication service users.
Gentleman the first.
Unanimous consent to postpone action 1 day.
Are there objections to postponing action 1 day on the bill? No objections are heard and the bill will be postponed by 1 day. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5353 to bring virtual currency kiosks within the purview of money transmission licensure and create disclosure requirements and daily transaction limitations for new and existing customers.
The question. Before the House, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having this bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 12th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon. The bill would amend provisions of the West Virginia Code relating to currency and money transmissions and adding a new section relating to virtual currency kiosks. The bill amends the current provisions of the code by including digital wallets and virtual currency kiosks in the definition of currency transmission or money transmission. This would require persons engaged in the business of virtual currency kiosks to be regulated by the Division of Financial Institutions. The bill requires virtual currency kiosk operators operating in the state to submit application for licensure within 90 days of the effect date of the bill. Licenses are annually renewable. The bill provides disclosure requirements for licensee and their interactions with customers and requires written receipts of these disclosures unless the customer agrees not to want a written receipt. Limits on total fees and commissions to $5 or 10% of the transaction amount. Maximum daily limits of $1,000 for a new customer, defined as someone registered for 10 days or less when the kiosk with the kiosk operator, and $10,000 for existing customers. Cancellation and refund of fraudulent transactions within 10 days after registering as a new customer if the fraudulent transaction is reported to law enforcement within 30 days. And it also requires that the enhanced due diligence process to detect and prevent fraud for elderly adults. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
Question now before the House. Shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman the 11th, like it's Fehrenbacher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I fully support and recommend that this bill be passed. In the committee, there was testimony that although there are legitimate uses of these kiosks, there is a tremendous abuse of these to, frankly, perpetrate fraud scams targeting seniors. A senior would get a call encouraging them that there's a, if you will, an urgent situation that requires immediate transfer of cash to one of these machines to either safeguard their earnings, their reserves, if you will, or to transfer it to some immediate need. The target, these targeted efforts have resulted in over $300 million nationwide to perpetrate these fraud, and the vast majority of them are targeted at our seniors. The licensing and limits that are being imposed in this legislation will protect those seniors. I urge passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We have 89 ayes, 3 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5353.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please determine the first.
Move to make the bill effective from passage.
The question is on the motion that committee substitute for House Bill 5353 be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 89 ayes, 3 nays, and 7 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5364, reforming boards and commissions.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? For what purpose does the gentleman in the 72nd seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unanimous consent to amend on third, please.
Gentleman in the 72nd asks unanimous consent to offer an amendment to the bill on third reading. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegates Riley and Phillips move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Riley and Phillips 3-3, number 1.
The question now is on adoption of the amendment just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to having the amendment explained in lieu of having it read? If not, gentleman in the 72nd to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment prevents a code conflict with House Bill 4126, which we passed 92-0. It's just amending it to include that provision. I urge adoption.
Question again is on adoption of the amendment just reported by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the amendment adopted. Clerk will please now read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5364, reforming boards and commissions.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman in the 68th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the committee substitute for House Bill 5364 is to revise provisions pertaining to 30 boards and commissions. 18 of these are eliminated outright because they are statutorily obsolete or explicitly sunset. Many of the remaining boards that have been eliminated have had their functions transferred to a designated agency. One entity, the Tourism Advisory Council, is retained, but its composition has been reduced. The committee substitute has no effect on the following 6 entities: the Commission on Holocaust Education, the Records Management and Preservation Board, the Municipal Home Rule Board, West Virginia Advisory Council on Rare Diseases, the Whitewater Commission, and the Women's Commission. Although the introduced version of the bill affected these entities, the committee substitute does not, and I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 87 ayes, 6 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5364.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5366, relating to rules governing the practice of law.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 55th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5366, we talked about this some yesterday during the amendment phase. This bill deals with the records that are made available to individuals who voluntarily submit to the judicial or lawyer assistance. It provides for some confidentiality and privacy protections for those people who participate to get substance abuse support. That's a brief description of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Gentleman to 37th, if your vote's not registered. Clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We have 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5366.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Akers moves to amend the title.
The questions on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5398 relating to dates and deposits for oil and gas well plugging.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman from the second, Douglas Atezalo, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would change the threshold at which the rate of tax on natural gas and oil extracted from certain wells is reduced to 0 for a year. Currently, if on June 1st of any year there exists in the oil and gas abandoned well plugging fund an amount equal to or exceeding the amount of $6 million, then during the next calendar year, the 2.5% rate of tax on gas and oil extracted from those types of wells is reduced to 0. The bill continues to reduce the rate to 0, but changes the conditions of the reduction. Under the bill, first, only if on September 30th of any year there exists in the plugging fund an amount equal to or exceeding the amount of $6 million that has not been encumbered by the Office of Oil and Gas. 2, in no event may the total fund balance exceed $9 million. And 3, the plugging fund may exceed $6 million only if every dollar above the $6 million is encumbered pursuant to a binding executed contract to plug specific wells with a term not to exceed 12 months. So obviously is a means to give flexibility to the Office of the Department of Environmental Protection. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question is on adoption of the question is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 92 ayes, 0 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5398.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5438 to modify the foundation allowance to improve instructional programs.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 43rd, Delegate Tony, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 5438 reduces annual instructional technology appropriation by up to $15 million to a new fund, budgeting and accounting system for the Department of Education. It also requires the governor to reappropriate any unused Department of Education balance to support ongoing initiatives and assistant teachers who are not fully certified. Finally, it permits county boards to redirect up to 50% of their teacher and leader induction allowance towards safe school funds. Additionally, what this is actually doing for the $15 million is getting the state the opportunity to replace the WEVA system that we currently have to make sure that the counties are funded, putting in their funding, that they go through the new system. So they're currently in the process of trying to get bids for that, to replace that system that's outdated, so that we can get a new funding system for the counties that they can report to. That's the summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 92 ayes, 0 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5438.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5441, reforming state personnel system.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill was advanced to third reading with an amendment pending. Clerk will please report the amendment.
Delegates Hornbuckle, Fluharty et al. Excuse me, move to amend the bill. This is HFA Hornbuckle et al. 3-3 number 1.
The question now is on adoption of the amendment as just reported by the clerk. Are there objections to allowing the sponsors to explain the amendment in lieu of having the amendment read? If not, show them the fifth to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment would allow for the Human Rights Commission to have jurisdiction over government employees to protect them from political retaliation. If you recall, just a few years ago, the state paid out $3.2 million in settlements from the Secretary of State's office, from our former Secretary of State, because individuals were fired over their political affiliation. This would allow for a grievance process through the Human Rights Commission and give them jurisdiction so that complaints can be made, and if a government employee who's not in a, I would say, high-ranking position, so we're talking about employees like the DMV, highways, things of that nature, if they are targeted for their political affiliation and then fired because of that, they would have a process through the Human Rights Commission to file a complaint and go through that process prior to any civil action being filed. So happy to take any questions and reserve the right to close.
Question is on adoption of the amendment. Is there debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 53rd, Doug Levitt's recognized on the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from the 5th yield?
Sure.
Are you familiar with the basis for the lawsuits in the case you referenced, where the state ended up paying out $3.2 million?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar
It was all under the First Amendment. It was all First Amendment issues.
It was under the First Amendment. Are you familiar with the Supreme Court cases that those relate to?
No. I'm not.
Okay. Well, in those cases, sorry, let me stick to questions here. Are you familiar with the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals decision in Adkins v. Miller from 1992?
No, the only one I have here in my notes, and again, the minority leader was going to lead this, is the Elrod case, the U.S. Supreme Court case that held dismissing non-policymaking public employees solely because their political affiliation violates the First Amendment.
Yes, from 1976. Under your proposed amendment, would employees be able to appeal directly to federal court, or would they have to go through the Human Rights Commission first?
We'd first go through administrative process.
In order to appeal to federal court?
Well, not about federal court, but for state issues, this is just giving an extra layer of grievance process available. I suppose theoretically they could file a civil action. There may not be any issues with filing a civil action, but they may be, from my understanding, maybe stopped from moving forward until there's a finding or a hearing set from the Human Rights Commission. It's basically just giving an extra layer of protection for these employees.
But so your intent is that state employees who right now can appeal directly to the courts and have their case tried by a jury of their peers, instead of being able to access the courts that way, they'd first have to appeal through the state human rights commission. Sorry, let me finish the question real quick.
Yeah.
Have to have the case decided by the state human rights commission, which has never dealt with these types of claims before?
They have not. This would give them jurisdiction to do so. They do deal with many other issues very similar. I mean, they take up things about race, gender, religious persuasion, ethnicity, disability. They take on similar circumstances. I believe this is a similar circumstance where somebody is aggrieved and they want to bring it forward because they feel like because of their classification, which they already take issues like that, because of their classification based upon their political party, they want to file a grievance within the Human Rights Commission. You're free not to support that. Obviously, it's a policy question.
Sorry, but my question to you was, is your intent to not allow state employees to file those kinds of claims in court unless they go through this administrative process? So your amendment would not allow them to appeal directly to the state court as they are able to now, is that correct?
Yeah, you would have to go through the administrative process first.
Okay.
I mean, and then that way,
I think that answers my question.
If there was a finding, it would have more merit.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Final question, under what standard would political firing cases then be considered under the state court system? What standard of review?
I think it would just fall under typical employment cases now. I'm not familiar.
Well, right now for discrimination and other claims, the questions of fact are reviewed under a clearly wrong substantial evidence standard. Would your intent be that this be applied, or would it
I
be?
believe it's similarly applied. I mean, if you're going through a process involving a firing, whether for whatever means it may fall under, I don't know that it changes the standard.
So instead of courts being able to review the facts entirely, they would have to defer to the findings of the State Human Rights Commission.
I don't know if they have to defer to them, no.
Well, sorry, that's what I'm asking about, the standard of review. West Virginia Code Section 29A-5-4 says that a court can only reverse or modify the agency's decision if the substantial rights of the petitioner have been prejudiced because the agency findings are in violation of constitutional or statutory provisions, in excess of the agency's statutory authority, made upon unlawful procedures, affected by other error of law, clearly wrong and either reliable, probative, and substantial evidence on the whole record, or arbitrary and capricious, characterized by abuse of discretion. This is the existing process for appeals from the Human Rights Commission. Is it your intent that this be applied to these political discrimination cases as well?
Yeah, because they would have jurisdiction over it now.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to speak to the amendment.
Gentleman is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you. I don't think that it's fair to require state employees who right now have the ability to go straight to federal court, have the ability to go straight to our state court, to require that they go through this whole process first. I have acknowledged before here that actually my father-in-law is who litigated those cases against the Secretary of State's office the other year, and those were cases that were going to be heard by jury trials. And so if this amendment was adopted, instead of being able to go through the established process right now, state employees would have to go through this procedure with the Human Rights Commission that they don't have to right now. Further, the existing case law that exists in our state courts would be kind of really overturned and tossed up, because suddenly then courts would have to be applying a new review standard, which they don't need to right now. And finally, again, I would note that our state Human Rights Commission doesn't have any experience with political discrimination cases, whereas there is a body of existing case law in our state courts already to deal with this. So I would respectfully urge rejection of the gentleman's amendment.
Question again is on the amendment as reported by the clerk and explained by the sponsor. Is there other debate on the amendment? If not, Chair recognizes the sponsor. Gentleman from the 5th to close debate on the primary amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I believe this is pretty simple. It's an extra layer of protection for our public employees who have been retaliated against for their political beliefs. And I think we should have an extra layer in place. And this does not apply to anything at the federal level. This is purely state cases. And I would never infringe on the ability of the 7th Amendment to be exercised and to pursue a trial by jury. But what this does is bring more claims of merit forward. So and I know everybody down here doesn't like lawsuits being filed that don't have merit to them. We've debated that for years. And this would add that extra layer to make sure that not only has this been heard before the Human Rights Commission, we'll find some merit with it, and we'll take that with us to the next level if need be when it comes to civil recourse in our justice system. So appreciate support of the amendment. Thank you.
The question is on adoption of the amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Those appear to have it. Okay, noes have it. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the clerk will please read the bill a third time.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5441, reforming state personnel system.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 68th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 5441 has two primary purposes. First, it consolidates the administration of certain state classified service systems into the Division of Personnel. The bill accomplishes this by abolishing 3 agency-specific classified service systems currently administered by the Department of Transportation, the Bureau for Social Services, and the Tax Division. Each of these 3 agencies had once had their classified service systems handled by the Division of Personnel, but exemptions from that system and permission to create their own were enacted into law between 2017 and 2023. The bill provides that all of the agency-specific classifications and pay scales will be unaffected. Only administration of the plan will change. The bill also terminates the Board of Personnel and grants its key functions, such as legislative rulemaking, to the Division of Personnel. Second, the bill provides that as of July 1st, 2026, each new hire within the Department of Transportation, Bureau for Social Services, and Tax Division will be exempt from the classified service system. New hires will also be exempted from being covered by the state grievance procedures. However, the bill does provide that any employee who is currently covered by a classified service system and who currently has access to the state grievance procedures will continue to have said coverage and access so long as the employee remains in his or her current position. The bill further provides that nothing in the bill shall exempt the affected departments from the provisions of code prohibiting nepotism, favoritism, discrimination, or unethical practices. I urge passage.
Question now is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 58 ayes, 32 nays, and 9 members absent. A majority of the members having voted the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5441.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next, gentleman, the first.
Move to make the bill effective July 1st, 2026.
The question now is on the motion that the bill take effect July 1st, 2026. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 75 ayes, 16 nays, and 8 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective July 1st, 2026. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5453 to modify the school aid funding formula.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill was advanced to third reading yesterday with amendments pending. At this time, the clerk will please report the amendments.
Delegate Pushkin moves to amend the committee substitute for the committee substitute. This is HFA Pushkin 3-3.
The question is on adoption first of the amendment as just reported by the clerk, offered by the gentleman from the 54th Delegate Pushkin. Are there objections to having this amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill, which is something that we've been talking about for many, many years now, updating the school aid funding formula. In fact, we paid for a report from the RAND Corporation that we received prior to the session. This bill, as it left the Education Committee, I believe I made a comment that this just might possibly be the most important piece of legislation that we work on all year. That was my feeling as the bill left the Education Committee, but the bill that we see before us today, it is far from the most important piece of legislation we'll work on because, first of all, it makes very few changes, and the changes that do come, the urgent changes that do come, that are needed for this antiquated formula, they don't come for 3 years. So what my amendment proposes to do is return the bill to the posture that it was as it left the Education Committee, which means it would raise the baseline to $6,500 per student, slightly more than what we have now, but it is an increase. It would raise for special needs students, the allotment would be $33,250 per tier 2 and $6,500 per tier 3. It would still allow for counties to request special funding for extraordinary expenses such as transportation or alternative learning. And it would still require the LOCIR reporting, but most importantly, it would make these much needed changes sooner rather than later, sooner rather than 3 years from now, which is what the bill without the unamended bill would do. It puts it off for 3 years. So I would urge adoption of the amendment, and I reserve the right to close.
There is a competing amendment filed. At this time, the clerk will please report the second of the two amendments.
Delegate Howell G. moves to amend the committee substitute for the committee substitute. This is HFA Howell G 3-2, number 1.
If there are no objections, the chair will now recognize the sponsor of the competing amendment for explanation. No objections are heard. Gentleman, the 87th Delegate Howell is recognized to explain the second of the two amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment provides a transitional funding protection to ensure that no county board of education receives less total state aid than it received in the previous fiscal year as a result of the changes made by HB 5453. If the new formula produces a lower amount for a county, the difference will be provided as a hold harmless adjustment so that the school system does not experience an immediate loss of funding while the new formula is implemented. The purpose of the amendment is to allow the policy changes in the bill to move forward while protecting counties from sudden funding reductions that could disrupt school operations, staffing, and student services. I reserve the right to close. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as per our practice, the question is now on adoption of the two amendments. The floor is open for debate on each of the two competing amendments. At the conclusion of debate, we will do as we do and have done. We will take the vote first upon the more comprehensive, the two amendments offered first by the gentleman from the 54th. Adoption of that amendment will preclude further consideration of the amendment offered by the gentleman from the 87th. So at this time, is there debate on the amendments? Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman for the 54th yield for a question?
Yes.
Appreciate your amendment. I certainly have not had the time to run the numbers. I'm curious, with your amendment, what would the net result be to our 55 counties individually? Would any of them be getting a lesser amount of funding than they have presently?
No, actually, I believe it raises the baseline. There's a floor for each county. So no, I believe it would result actually in more funding for public education.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
From the 38th, Douglas Ellington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speak to both amendments.
Gentleman is recognized.
All right. This is to Delegate Pushkin's amendment. I would respectfully urge rejection of this amendment. The proposed amendment attempts to return the bill to the version as it left education. This proposed amendment will end up having a very significant fiscal impact, $214 million addition, and will take effect for the school year 27-28. Rather than the proposed three-year phase-in. I appreciate the intent of the amendment. If we had the funds to do this, I would greatly support that. But the version of the bill, as it left finance, is better for what we are ultimately wanting to accomplish. For that reason, I would urge rejection of Delegate Pushkin's amendment. Regarding Delegate Howe's amendment, I would also respectfully urge rejection of that amendment. The proposed amendment frustrates the purpose of the bill, which is to allow all counties to be uniform in the amount of money provided per pupil. We are timing this to be implemented in 3 years in order to give counties time to adjust to the new system. This proposed amendment will end up having a very significant fiscal impact in addition, particularly in light of counties that would have expansion or increase in enrollment. That's roughly based on the previous enrollment from last year would be another $9 million to the budget. We're trying to keep this budget stable at the moment to get this policy passed. This bill, as written, does have flexibility in the third to fourth year that we can modify the base. We can also modify the supplemental fund. So for both reasons, I would urge rejection of both amendments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lady from the 56th, Douglas Young, is recognized on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the previous chair of education yield? I'm sorry, I don't know what number.
Gentleman, the 38th, yield for a question.
38th. Deputy Speaker.
Gentleman does yield.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So you said $214 million phase-in?
It would be $214 million plus if we took the gentleman from the 54th?
Yep.
If he took his amendment, it would be immediate.
Okay, and you said that we should not do that because it's better for what we're going for. What does that mean?
One, we don't have those funds available, particularly in light that we just spent a lot of it in the previous cannabis bill supplements.
We spent a lot of it in the previous cannabis bill?
Well, we spent, for the $214 million, we don't have that available.
Why not?
If you look at the budget that we passed, it's not included in that.
Aren't we mandated to fund the school aid formula?
Yeah, that is funded. But the new formula, if you implement his amendment, would increase that budget $214+ million.
Wouldn't that be the same for like any bills that we would pass that have funding in them? Like if we were to pass, say, a tax cut, we'd have to find the money for it right now?
Well, I agree you'd have to find that, but I think that money's been appropriated already in the revenue estimate in the budget.
In the
And
budget that we passed that
we
had no
passed?
tax cut in it?
Well, you would have to talk to Delegate from Finance, Chair of Finance about that.
Okay. Okay, but you're saying we don't have the money to fund the public schools?
That's what I was told. Well, no, we have the money to fund the base budget that already is in place. This bill would increase that if you went to the delegate's amendment immediately for next year.
So we don't want to give the public schools the money right now. We want to give it to them in 3 years?
I would love to give it to them this year, but we don't have that budget right now. This
We
is
don't
trying
have
to
that
favor-
budget right now, or we're not prioritizing it?
Well, that's a matter of your interpretation there.
Okay, thank you.
Question again is on both amendments. Is there debate on the amendments? Gentleman from the 8th, Douglas Bell, is recognized on the amendments.
Speaker, I seek a Rule 49.
We will request Rule 49 acknowledgments from all members prior to taking the vote on either amendment. Thank you. Gentleman from the 29th, Douglas Dillon, is recognized on the amendments.
The gentleman from the 38th yield for question.
Yes, sir.
Gentleman does yield.
In this year's budget, how much are we giving to higher education, to all the institutions, including the Higher Education Policy Council?
Higher education, I don't have that at hand. I would have to defer to Finance.
Okay, ballpark, does maybe 400 million sound about right?
I don't know offhand. I'd hate to give a number at the moment.
All right. Thank you.
Question still is on the two amendments as offered by the sponsors. Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speak to the amendments.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I'm kind of in a unique situation here. The way this bill reads right now, and some of these amendments try to address this, I'm in a situation where one of the two counties I represent is going to be a winner, one's going to be a loser. I know we don't like to pick winners and losers. I feel a little bit like a parent with two children. One's being offered a wonderful, good deal, but at the expense of the other. I don't think too many parents would choose one of their children over another. Of course, I'm representing two different counties. Consequently, I'm in a situation where I have to do no harm, and I will be voting for amendments that either provide no harm or against the bill in its total. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 80th, Douglas Williams, is recognized on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would either the finance chairman or the vice chairman yield to a question? Either one. You guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So I know you guys have been busy. We're on the school aid funding formula bill. We have had some questions about the cost, and I was wondering if you could walk me through some. But first, putting a cap on the funding with the school funding formula with a block grant, will that also put a cap on the Hope Scholarship?
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then we've had some points about money and what we should be paying for, et cetera. The budget right now, we didn't include the funding formula in it, but the budget bill hasn't reached its conclusion, right? There's still time for changes?
So the bill, as presented outside of the amendment, would not impact the budget. The amendments may.
Okay, so the amendment could impact the budget, but since the budget bill isn't finalized yet, we could still account for this passage of the amendment in the bill.
Well, we've passed it out of this House, so it's currently in the Senate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Still, the question is on the amendments. Is there debate on the amendments before the chair recognizes the sponsors to close debate on the amendments? If not, gentleman, the 54th is recognized to close debate on first of the two amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If your house is on fire, you don't call the fire department and say, take your time. You can show up in a couple of days, couple months, 3 years. This is urgent. It needs our attention right now. We paid for this report from the RAND Corporation. Their top recommendation was to increase funding for public schools while increasing accountability as well. That's what this amendment seeks to return this bill to. The bill without the amendment, it postpones any kind of changes for 3 years. For 3 years. How many schools are going to close in each of our districts during the next 3 years without this urgent attention? They're already closing. How many of us have school closing in our district? A lot of that is because of this antiquated school funding formula that creates a bigger discrepancy between haves and have-nots, between counties that are losing population and the very few counties that we have that don't seem to be having that problem, which is maybe 1 or 2 in this state right now. We are losing schools. We are losing communities over this. So this amendment provides the urgency that this requires. I believe yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was the expansion of the Hope Scholarship vouchers, where those applications came in. We're going to be spending more than $200 million on that. So I guess it's just a matter of priorities. I mean, just an hour or so ago, we voted to spend $75 million from economic development on airport hangars. So I guess it's just a matter of priorities. We wanted to take $200 million from this unspent medical cannabis fund and spend it on ibogaine research. So I guess it's just a matter of priorities. I mean, what isn't a priority, what is the first line in Article 12 of our state constitution? So I'll remind you, because we often forget, the legislature shall provide by general law for a thorough and efficient system of free schools. It's only a matter of time before we're not doing that at all. Keep privatizing public funds that are meant to go for everybody's kids. I agree with the gentleman from the 88th. I'm not going to choose who our favorite child is. We're supposed to provide a free education for everyone's kids, regardless of what county they come from, regardless of how much their parents make, regardless of whether they have transportation to a private school, or that private school even provides the type of education that they need. We paid for a report that we received at the beginning of the session. We should follow the recommendations of that report, increase our funding for public education, and don't wait for 3 years. We do it now. If we want to find a way to give a 10% tax cut, I guarantee you're going to find a way to do that. This is about our public schools. So if you don't want to see any more schools closing in your district, vote for the amendment. If you've already had school closings in your district, vote for the amendment. If you want to follow the Constitution and continue to follow the Constitution of the state of West Virginia, vote for the amendment. And now ask for the yeas and nays.
From the 87th, Douglas Howe is recognized to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment for you is simple. It says that as we make changes to the school formula, no county should suddenly lose funding compared to what they receive today. It allows the policy changes in the bill to move forward, but prevents cuts that could disrupt local schools. Right now, 9 counties would see their school funding go down if this amendment does not pass. It will not derail the bill. What we'll do is prevent the sudden loss that our school systems, or to our school systems. This amendment simply provides a floor for the previous year's funding levels. It gives counties stability while the new formula is implemented. And members, today, it is these 9 counties. Tomorrow, it could be others. As enrollment shifts and the formula adjusts, other counties could find themselves losing in the end. Kanawha County could be next, or your county. The question for us is simple. These counties that would face the reduction are Clay County, $312,858. Fayette County, $342,565. Gilmer County, $140,925. Lincoln County, $2,689,686. McDowell, $545,385. Mineral, my home county, $866,642. Mingo County, $214,913. Pleasance, $58,771. Webster, $362,702. Together, that total reduction is about $5.5 million to our local school system. But let's put that in perspective. In a roughly $5 billion budget, the amount needed to protect these counties is about 0.1%. That will not break the budget. If the formula changed tomorrow and your county suddenly lost funding, would you want a floor to protect your schools? This amendment provides that protection. Mr. Speaker, I urge adoption and request the yeas and nays.
Debate on both amendments has been closed. Roll call on both amendments has been requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is on the first on adoption of the more comprehensive of the amendments. This is the amendment offered by the gentleman from the 54th, Delegate Pushkin. Shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 24 ayes, 67 nays, 8 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative, the chair declares that primary amendment lost. The question now is on adoption of the amendment as offered by the gentleman from the 87th, Delegate Howe. Debate on the amendment has been closed. Request for the roll call vote has been sustained. The question now is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 49 ayes, 43 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the amendment adopted. Clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5453 to modify the school aid funding formula.
Question now is on passage of the bill. Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman to 38 to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the bill relates to modifying the school aid funding formula. The bill establishes a revised method of school aid funding. The bill clarifies the base fund and establishes a supplemental fund. The bill sets forth categories within the supplemental fund for funding. Finally, the bill provides for oversight. The bill, as it came from Finance, provides that the current school funding aid formula shall be utilized for the school year 26-27, school year 27-28, and for the school year 28-29. It also provides that the public charter schools shall remain funded consistent with their funding through the current school aid funding formula, and as otherwise provided in 18 at 5G1 of this code. The above amendment does freeze that, so it would be this year's funding school aid formula and then the same amount for the next 2 years. The bill then provides that effective for the school year 29-30, all county boards of education in the state shall be funded by a block grant in the amount of $6,100 per enrolled student. For purposes of the base funding amount, county boards of education that have less than 1,200 enrolled pupils per county shall be funded at the minimum level of 1,200 pupils in that county. Public charter schools are not subject to the 1,200 minimum level provided for in subsection 3. The bill provides that funding for public charter schools for the 29-30 school year and continuing thereafter shall be at the amount of $8,600 per student. The bill modifies counties to school districts in certain areas to encompass public charter schools. Finally, the bill provides a definition for maladministration, which mirrors the definition set forth in House Bill 4574, the emergency funding bill that was passed by the House earlier this session. That is a summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
Question now is on adoption or on passage of the bill. Gentleman from the 57th, Delegate Lewis, is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the sponsor yield for a question?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the per student funding amount for public schools was $6,100 and the per student funding amount for charters was 8,600.
Yes.
Could you just explain what the
Yes,
gap?
I can. The current code in 18.5G sets that level for charter schools at 8,000 per student. The level of 6,100 would put that at 8,600. The reason why they receive more is because the districts, which would be considered by the charter schools, cannot tax. So the local share that is taxed by the counties, part of that portion goes into that equation. So that's why it's up to 8,600, to make it comparable to where it is now in the code.
So the public schools will receive additional funding from the county. Is that what you're saying?
Right, but the counties already had their regular levy. That's their local share, and then they also have more money if they have an excess levy.
Thanks.
From the 54th, Delegate Pushkin's recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
So that number for charter schools, that applies to any students enrolled in virtual charter as well,
Yes, it would, but that would come from their particular counties,
from whatever county
wherever
they
the
reside?
county in. That they're
How many
in.
counties actually have brick and mortar charter schools?
There are 6 charter schools, I believe.
In how many counties? What, 3?
I don't, 3 counties?
Something like that.
I'm not sure, but I would say that's probably correct.
Okay, and this raises, well, I'm not going to say raise because I'm not sure it does. This bill has the baseline of what, 6,100?
That's why that was chosen for when it goes into effect in the 4th year. 6,100 is what the current level is at.
That's what the current level is.
Current level
so
is
this
at.
isn't a raise in the baseline.
No, what you were trying to do was 6,500. That would be a raise in the baseline. Now,
Yeah.
the 6,100 does encompass the teacher raises that were put into the base this year.
We already voted for teacher raises, so that's
Right,
for the
I'm
teacher
just saying
raises.
it's
I'm just trying to
already
figure out
in-
what
in
the.
that.
Okay, excuse. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's already included in that.
I'm just trying to figure out what the actual change is here. So it goes into effect in 3 years. It doesn't raise the baseline, but it does have this a raise for tier 2 and tier 3 for special needs. Correct?
Yes, that would come into effect at the 4th year.
And allows for some flexibility from the
The
county.
flexibility, yes. If we wanted to modify that base level, we can. Gives us several years to do that. If we want to supplement that other fund, the supplemental fund, we could appropriate that however we chose.
In 3 years.
Well, at any time. Any time after this.
After this is 3 years. That's when it goes into effect, correct?
Well, that will. If you pass the bill, it'll go into effect next year. But it's at the current level of the school aid from the current school aid formula for this first year. And based on the gentleman's amendment, that changes for the next 2 years after that.
Okay. So, but the baseline stays the same.
Yes, that would stay about the same unless we change it, and it gives us the flexibility to change it.
We being the legislature, well,
Yes.
we always have the flexibility
Yeah.
to change it. What we don't have is the willingness or the guts, but thanks.
From the 93rd, Delegate Hornby's recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We hear a lot about education. I'm very proud to have worked on this with the Deputy Speaker. I got elected in 2023, got down here, thought we could change the world. We hear from the gentleman from Kanawha all the time that we're not spending enough on education. Back in 2017, we had an $815 million budget for education. Today, we have a $2.4 billion budget for education. We do not have a spending problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 77th, Douglas Statler, is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am going to support this bill, but I do want to point out to the committee, regardless if this bill passes or not, that I want to point out that we have a very, very deep spatial needs crisis in this state, into the fact that the funding formula, every county in this state is suffering from the lack of enough funding for that. Even if this bill passes, it doesn't take it into effect. So I would say that everybody in this body needs to pray that the Senate sends that bill that they have out over there that would give immediate relief if we would pass it and put it out, the government would sign it. But please remember, we need money into the spatial needs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 8th, Douglas Bell, has sought a ruling from the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 as to eligibility to vote on this bill as a employee of the public school system. All members who wish a ruling from the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 as to your eligibility to vote on this question pursuant to the same set of facts will now please register your vote by pressing either yes or no. Clerk will prepare the machine. Have all members who wish a ruling by the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 registered your request? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and note those members seeking a ruling. It is the ruling of the chair that all members belong to a class of 5 or greater individuals and are therefore eligible to vote on this question. Is there further debate on the question of shall the bill pass? If not, gentlemen, the 38th, close debate on the bill. Question before the House is shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There are 89 ayes, 2 nays, and 8 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5453.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5457 to allow partial credits for times of disability service in the CPRB for troopers.
The question before the House is shall the bill pass? Are there objections to allowing to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman the 85th, Douglas Hott, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 5457, in summary, would amend the provisions of the West Virginia Code relating to the West Virginia State Police Retirement System. The bill would authorize service credit for troopers on disability for half the time spent receiving disability retirement payments. As a summary, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question before the House is shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, yes, gentleman from the 4th, Douglas Flanagan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to speak to the bill?
Yes, gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I'm glad to get on this bill with you. I just wish we could have done a little more. What we're talking about are our troopers going out there working for us, our first line of defense on a lot of bad things, and they get hurt on the job. And personally, I think they need to have full disability and they go right into retirement with it. Because these guys, we're talking about people who lose their legs, you know, get shot. And how are you going to get back to work without a leg? I mean, that's tough to do. And 50% is pretty good, but I sure would have liked to see 100. Thank you all.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentlemen wish to close debate on the bill. If not, the question before the House is shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 91 ayes, 0 nays, and 8 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5457.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Chris moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title is amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5462 relating to mine subsidence.
The question before the House is shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 72nd, Douglas Riley, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would require that when the owner of a building damaged by mine subsidence recovers funds from a third party for the damage, the amount BREM must pay under the mine subsidence insurance policy is reduced by the amount of funds from the third party payment. The bill also provides that mine subsidence policyholders may not bring cause of action or any other action against the insurance company that works with BREM to provide BREM's mine subsidence coverage for any claims which have been reported to the BREM. I urge passage.
Question again is shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman, the 79th, Douglas Hanson, is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Vice Chair yield?
Yes.
Thank you for yielding. Could you give an example of what a source other than the mine subsidence fund might be that would make a payment?
Could be anything, could be the coal company before they mine.
Could be a payment made before they mine. Could
Correct.
Could it be a payment they make after the damage is caused?
Could be, yes.
Okay. And then the second half of that section C that's related to sources other than the mine subsidence fund, what would be the implication for the fund only being liable up to the statutory limit? Does that mean that, how would that impact or potentially impact a homeowner who's impacted by subsidence?
Well, if they've bought insurance up to the liability amount, then they know that that's their coverage.
How is that different from current code?
Well, if they are paid an amount prior to or after, BRIM only covers the gap so that you prevent double dipping.
So are there instances of double dipping? Is that what this is intended to address?
That's the way I read it, sir.
Okay, and then I did also have a question about the change at the bottom of the bill. And so it says a policyholder may not bring a cause of action against the insurer. So is that a cause of action against BRIM?
No, that would be a cause of action against the insurance company who offers it on behalf of BRIM.
Who offers it on behalf of BRIM? And what's the reasoning behind that policy decision?
Well, we require them to offer it in code, but they are not the ones who adjust and determine the claim. That's BRIM.
So what recourse does a policyholder have if they have no cause of action anymore?
They can sue BRIM.
They can sue BRIM.
Yes, not the third party who's the cause of action. They're the provider.
Okay, so this is silent on that, but by being silent on that, it preserves the right to have a cause of action against BRIM?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
for
sir.
answering those questions.
Is there further debate on the bill? Does the gentleman wish to close debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 78 ayes, 11 nays, and 10 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5462.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read to the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5464, West Virginia First Live Racing Jobs Act of 2026.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman of the 72nd to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would define and describe the racing eligibility of a new class of thoroughbreds to be known as the West Virginia Certified Thoroughbred Horses. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman of the 98, Douglas Funkhauser.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 49, I would seek a ruling. I own one West Virginia bred thoroughbred. This bill would result in more horses in competition, potentially affecting earnings.
Are there more than 5 such animals in the state?
Yes.
It's a ruling of the chair that the gentleman belongs to a class of 5 or greater individuals and is eligible to vote on this question. Is there further debate on the bill? Is there further debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 73 ayes, 17 nays, and 9 members absent. The majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5464.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5466 relating to abuse prevention program.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 53rd, Delegate Levitt, to explain the bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This is a very simple bill. Primarily what it does is to take a program in existence in the state right now for those who have engaged in abuse of others. Right now, those programs are only available in limited areas of the state because they have to be done by licensed providers and they have to be done in person. And so the primary thing this bill would do is to allow for them to be broadcast virtually so that people from anywhere in the state, if they are required to by a judge or as part of another agreement, or even if they want to voluntarily, they can be able to watch and participate in these. They would be live and synchronous, so not just a recording that they watch later. So this was requested by the West Virginia Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and I believe it will be helpful in our state and urge its passage. Thank you.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman with the 92nd, Doggett Heights, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I sit on the board for an abuse intervention program and therefore seek a Rule 49.
Yes, under that set of facts, it would be the ruling of the chair. The gentleman is eligible to vote on this question.
Thank you.
Is there debate on passage of the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. We had 89 ayes, 0 nays, and 10 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5466.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5480 relating to establishing the West Virginia Youth Summer Employment and Career Readiness Program.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman with the 12th, Doggett Chris, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would establish the West Virginia Youth Summer Employment and Career Readiness Program within the Division of Workforce Development of the Department of Commerce, under which youths ages 14 to 20 years of age would be provided with a paid summer employment, structured work-based learning, and career exploration opportunities aligned with workforce needs of the state of West Virginia. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 87 ayes, 0 nays, and 12 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5480.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5484, creating the crime of conspiracy to deny medical treatment to victim of sexual offense.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman from the 55th, Doggett Akers, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5484 recognizes the rights of victims of sexual offenses to seek appropriate medical care or medical forensic care, creates felonies for offenses for any person who willfully interferes with that right, creates felony offenses for forcing or coercing a victim of sexual offense to have an illegal abortion, and also creates a felony offense for 2 or more persons to conspire under this code section. Also creates definitions under this section of code. Mr. Speaker, that's a description of the bill. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Lady from the 96th, Doggett White.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I speak to the bill?
Lady is recognized.
We heard powerful testimony in the Judiciary Committee last week from a survivor. She was 14 years old when she first was trafficked right here near Capitol and Donnelly Street. She was denied medical care. She was injured repeatedly and deliberately prevented from seeking treatment. Instead of being taken to a hospital, she was stitched up in kitchens and superglued back together, given street drugs to dull the pain, and told, suck it up and keep going. By denying her medical care, traffickers reinforced their power over her body and her life. They decided whether she was worth treatment. They made her believe her pain did not matter and that her survival depended entirely on them. Medical neglect became a tool of punishment and intimidation. It kept her isolated, dependent, and afraid to seek help, even when her life was at risk. She survived. Many do not. Untreated injuries, infections, internal damage, and chronic pain are common realities for victims. Preventing medical care increases the risk of permanent harm or death. Today, she is the executive director of Zara House, a transitional living program created specifically for survivors of human trafficking, the first of its kind in West Virginia. Another home, Eden Springs, is being built in Berkeley Springs to provide survivors with safe housing, stability, and the support they need to rebuild their lives after exploitation. Making it a felony to prevent victims from seeking medical care sends a clear message. The lives and bodies of victims matter under West Virginia law. This bill strengthens accountability. It gives prosecutors an essential tool. It affirms the survivors that what was done to them was criminal. Most importantly, it has the power to save lives. No child, no adult, no West Virginian should ever be denied medical care as a means of control. It is easy to say our hearts break for these victims. Today, we can turn those words into action. This bill stands with victims, not with those who would silence them. Excuse me. Sometimes all it takes is 30 seconds to spot abuse. Those 30 seconds could be the difference between continued abuse and safety. They could mean critical evidence is preserved instead of lost forever. They could be the first step out of fear, isolation, and silence, and toward freedom and justice. For a victim, 30 seconds could be their lifeline. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I feel compelled to say, in honor of my friend from District 94, great googly mooglies, I urge passage.
Gentleman with 79, Douglas Hanson is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the lead sponsor for bringing this bill forward, and we would agree with her description of the moving testimony that we heard in committee. And I also support this bill for the reasons stated by the lead sponsor and for other reasons as well. One reason that I support this bill is that it will help victims of rape and incest who qualify with the exceptions under the state's abortion ban. It will allow those victims of rape and incest to get legal abortions and the health care that they are entitled to according to state code. Now, there are very short windows in the state abortion ban to receive that type of care, 8 weeks and 14 weeks, depending on the age of the victim. And by the way, that's 8 weeks of pregnancy and 14 weeks of pregnancy. It's not the amount of time after somebody discovers that they're pregnant. But still, despite there being a very narrow window for a victim of sexual assault or incest, this bill could help them get the care that they require. I also support this bill because I believe that it will help make sure that pregnancy help organizations, also known as crisis pregnancy centers, do the right thing and are held accountable. The issue with these crisis pregnancy centers that provide services to pregnant women is they provide advice and services for everything other than legal abortions, including not even mentioning that there is a window of time for a person to secure the type of health care that is legally allowed and sometimes necessary and sometimes the best course of action. And based on reports that I've heard, sometimes these organizations purposely run out the clock until those short windows have closed. So this bill can help hold crisis pregnancy centers accountable if they do run out the clock. and therefore interfere with a woman seeking appropriate medical care related to a sexual offense. So again, I think this is a good bill. It's a clear policy statement to support victims of sexual crimes, and I support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Again, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? Gentlemen, the 50-50 to close debate on the bill. If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. We had 89 ayes, 0 nays, and 10 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5484.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5510, eliminate the requirement for private wedding venues to own or lease 2 acres in rural location.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 68th, Douglas Phillips, to explain the bill.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5510 amends a small portion of 67.2 of the code. The sole substantive changes the removal of the requirements that 1, land for a private wedding venue or barn licenses be a 2-acre minimum, and 2, that the venue or barn be remotely located, that it be subject to the Commissioner's approval, and that the bounded or fenced real property may be listed on the private wedding venues or barns floor plan and used for large events. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 65th, Douglas Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Certainly.
Do you know how many of these licenses are issued at the moment?
No, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Is it like under 10?
I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 83 ayes, 4 nays, and 12 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5510.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5511, to allow money to be paid to County Board of Education employees' estates for accrued or unused leave if they pass away before retirement.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 65th, Douglas Martin.
I was requesting to move that House Bill 5510 be effective July 1st, 2026.
Gentleman will please hold the motion. Chair will recognize the gentleman for that motion upon conclusion of the bill now before the House. Question before the House is the passage of House Bill 5511. The clerk has reported House Bill 5511 to the House. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 43rd, Delegate Tony, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of this bill is to provide a lump sum payment of accrued personal leave of full-time county employee board members upon the end of employment due to death. Accrued and unused personal leave is to be paid in a lump sum at the employee's usual rate of pay at the time the employment ends. The lump sum payment may not exceed $6,000 and may not be included towards retirement or any non-part of financial average salary computation. So basically what we're doing with this bill is if an employee currently, if they pass away while they're a full-time employee, all their days and stuff are just lost. What this does is give the ability, if the counties would like to, they could pay that individual's estate up to $6,000 for their unused days at their daily rate, not to exceed $6,000. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
The bill has been explained. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 87 ayes, 0 nays, and 12 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5511.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. At this time, are there objections to returning to further consideration of House Bill 5510 for purposes of an effective date? Okay, if not, gentleman from the 65th, Delegate Martin is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Bill 5510, effective date be July 1st, 2026.
July 1st, 2026. Okay, the question before the House is the gentleman's motion that the bill take effect July 1st, 2026. This is House Bill 5510, eliminating the requirement for private wedding venues to own at least 2 acres in rural locations. For what purpose of the gentleman from the 99th, the clerk seek recognition?
Is this debatable?
It is a debatable motion. Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Would gentleman 65th yield?
Yes.
Okay, so if we made this effective July 1, 2026, that would mean that this change technically wouldn't go into licenses until June of 27, correct?
Why
Because
is that?
the licensing period expires on June 30th of 2026.
Right, your new license starts July 1st.
But this change wouldn't go into effect until July 1, which would give it a whole nother year before you could apply as.
I don't believe so, no. This would line it up to where your new licensure for July 1st of this year, that it would be lined up for that new licensure year.
So if we had a standard 90-day enacting clause, because ABCA licenses are not prorated, so they really couldn't get a license for this anyway until July 1st of 26 if it went into effect. But in my interpretation of how the code reads, with your effective date, we would have a whole year.
I don't believe so, and that's not my intent. I'm wanting it to be lined up with the new liquor license year.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for yielding. Mr. Speaker, in my interpretation of how the law reads, that if this has an effective date 90 days after passage, it would allow for individuals to go ahead and apply for this license in June of 2026. It would be effective on July 1st of 2026. Therefore, I urge rejection of the gentleman's motion for the effective date. Thank you.
Gentleman first, Delegate McGeehan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the gentleman from the 65th motion.
Is there further debate on the gentleman's motion? Lady from the 56th, Delegate Young.
Will the gentleman from the 65th yield for a question?
Yes.
It's your understanding that it's a permit that's already in effect, like people can already get it. This is just lowering the requirements. So I think you're correct that this is just the new year, right? That's
Yes.
the intent.
That's my full intent, is just to have the new laws for the liquor licensing to line up for the new year of liquor licensing.
And I mean, even if it goes into effect on July 1, they could still prepare it for July 1. It's not to harm anybody.
Of course, yes. I
Yeah,
have no malice
okay.
in my motion.
Got it, thanks.
Question before the House is the motion offered by the gentleman from the 65th that House Bill 5510 be made effective July 1st, 2026. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 83 ayes, 6 nays, and 10 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in favor of the motion, the chair declares the bill effective July 1st, 2026. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. For the bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5515 relating to modernizing and updating workers' compensation statutes.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having this bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 12th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would revise or repeal outdated provisions within the workers' compensation statutes and modify the number of workers' compensation's Board of Review members from 5 to at least 3, but no more than 5. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 88 ayes, 0 nays, and 11 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5515.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5521 relating to public adjusters.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 58th, Douglas Hall, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would modify statutes relating to adjusters. The first section of the bill provides definitions for an article of the code through which the insurance commissioner regulates adjusters. This section of the bill defines the difference between 3 types of adjusters so regulated: company adjusters, independent adjusters, and public adjusters. The section is amended to add and define a 4th type of an adjuster, an emergency adjuster, and makes other changes to the definition. It expands the regulatory framework governing primary public adjusters by establishing uniform license standards, examinations, bonding mandates, contract disclosures, and ethical obligations. This bill provisions tracks with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, the NAIC, and also tracks with NCOIL, the National Council of Insurance Legislators. Currently in state rule, West Virginia adopted the 2021 NAIC Model Public Adjuster Bill. House Bill 5521 aims to update West Virginia to the new NAIC Model Bill, first published in 2024 and led and sponsored by our former delegate from Jackson County and currently sponsored by our delegate from 85. I urge passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 86 ayes, 3 nays, and 10 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5521.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5527 relating to wellness reimbursement programs.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 58th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5527, the Wellness Program Administrators, would create a new article of code through which the insurance commissioner would regulate the licensure of those who would be administrators of a self-insured medical reimbursement plan or a wellness integrated medical plan, expense reimbursement. The bill is identified as the Wellness Reimbursement Program. This program plans are legal in all 50 states. However, these plans have no oversight in West Virginia. Therefore, this bill would bring it up to code and allow the insurance commissioner to monitor and legalize these. So I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Gentleman from the 66, Douglas Kyle's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Requesting a Rule 49 as I am Vice President of a company that sells these products.
Are there 5 or greater companies that sell the products?
There are, sir.
In that set of facts, it would be the ruling of the chair that the gentleman belongs to a class of 5 or greater individuals and is therefore eligible to vote on this question. Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 90 ayes, 0 nays, and 9 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5527.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read, but the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5528 relating to protection of personal residential information of certain public officials.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, jump from the 89th. Doug Cannon to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Committee substitute for House Bill 5528 relating to protection of personal residential information of certain public officials. The committee substitute amends the West Virginia Code to provide that the personal residential information of a judicial officer, prosecutor, public defender, law enforcement officer, member of the legislature, or their immediate family residing in the same home may not be disclosed by any state agency, county, municipality, or political subdivision on a publicly accessible website, database, or record after receiving a written request from the covered individual that this information be removed or redacted. The committee substitute also creates a civil action for declaratory or injunctive relief that may be maintained if the personal residential information is not removed or redacted upon request of the covered individual. Lastly, the committee substitute provides exceptions to this prohibition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 88 ayes, 2 nays, and 9 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5528.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Akers moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it, and the chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5563 to create the West Virginia Timely Transplant Referral and Coordination Act.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, jump from the 32nd, Doug Holstein to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill requires healthcare providers to make timely referrals for patients who qualify for organ transplants. The bill requires licensed healthcare providers to refer eligible patients to a transplant center within 3 days after documenting transplant candidacy in the patient's medical record, unless a medical contraindication is documented. The Department of Health must collect and analyze hospital data on transplant referrals, including referral timelines and geographic disparities, and submit an annual report to the Legislative Oversight Commission on Health and Human Resources Accountability by December 1st. This bill was brought to me by a constituent of mine, and she's prepared some remarks here that I want to read. She gave her testimony in the Health Committee, but I want to share just briefly her testimony here. She says, "My name is Rachel Hossain. HB 5563 was written because of my dad, a veteran, a grandfather, and a proud West Virginian who needed a transplant referral. What I learned through our journey is something no family should have to learn the hard way. In transplant medicine, time is not flexible. Time determines eligibility, time determines options, time can determine survival. There was a significant delay before my father was referred for transplant evaluation. By the time the process began, precious time had already been lost. And in the transplant world, lost time is not easily recovered. This bill is not about blaming physicians. It's not about punishing hospitals. It's not about government overreach into medicine. It's about clarity. It's about setting expectations so that no patient falls into the gray area where referral is delayed and opportunity quietly slips away. Since sharing my father's story, other families across West Virginia have reached out to me with similar experiences. That tells me this is not isolated, it's systemic. No family should ever have to wonder if we had just been referred sooner, would things be different? I live with that question every day. House Bill 5563 simply ensures that patients in our state are given timely access to transplant evaluation, nothing more, nothing less. Today, your vote is not about me, it's about the next family sitting in a hospital room hoping someone acts in time. I respectfully ask for your support to move this bill forward that West Virginia can lead in protecting patients when time matters most. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 86 ayes, 1 nay, and 12 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5563.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5564 relating to deputy sheriff's vacation time.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Or are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman to 68, Douglas Phillips, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of House Bill 5564 is to increase the amount of accrued vacation time that deputy sheriffs can carry over into the next calendar year. The bill increases the amount of such carryover days from 30 days to 60 days, thereby matching the number of days state troopers are allowed to carry over into the next calendar year. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 89 ayes, 0 nays, and 10 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5564.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5587 to authorize cameras in school buses to send red light violator footage directly to the applicable law enforcement agency for ticketing and enforcement.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman the 98th, Douglas Funkhauser, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 5587 adds a new subsection J to Chapter 17C, Article 12, Section 7, authorizing footage from school bus cameras capturing drivers who illegally pass a stopped school bus to be transmitted directly to law enforcement for citation and enforcement. This is a public safety bill to protect our school children. That is a brief summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker. For sure and for certain, I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 89 ayes, 1 nay, and 9 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5587.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5622, amendments to city charters.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman the 78th, Douglas Chiarelli, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is a long and technical explanation to this bill. The members of the Government Organization Committee will attest to that. Simply put, this bill seeks to update West Virginia law to make it simpler for cities, towns, and villages to amend their charters, particularly when the goal is to align local election dates and procedures with statewide requirements. That is the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine. Member from the 67th, Dr. Coop Gonzalez, your vote didn't register. Clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 91 ayes, 0 nays, and 8 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5622.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5629 relating generally to the West Virginia Uniform Unclaimed Property Act.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 68th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the committee substitute for House Bill 5629 is to revise West Virginia's Unclaimed Property Act. This bill has been requested by the Treasurer's Office, and its primary purpose is to regulate businesses and individuals engaged in a particular business practice, namely, searching state unclaimed property databases for corporate or natural persons with significant amounts of unclaimed property, contacting the apparent lawful owner, and then purchasing the property or an assignment of rights for substantially less than the property is worth. The bill refers to entities engaged in that business practice as finders. The bill prevents a finder from claiming property for the first 24 months after the unclaimed property has been paid or delivered to the treasurer. After that 24-month period, the bill provides that in order for the finder to be paid by the treasurer, the finder must submit a payment request containing specified enclosures and signed by both the finder and the apparent owner. The bill also caps the amount of compensation that a finder is permitted to receive at not more than 10% of the total claim value. Finally, the bill makes a few additional minor changes in order to update the Unclaimed Property Act to conform to current practices of the Treasurer's Office. I urge passage.
Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 88 ayes, 0 nays, and 11 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5629.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5649 relating to confidentiality of certain records pertaining to adults and facility residents.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 55th, Douglas Akers, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5649 is primarily designed to allow for the use of otherwise confidential records in administrative proceedings when an employee in Adult Protective Services is facing disciplinary measures. It allows the employee to access the records in defense of the discipline, or allows the department to use the records in prosecution of this discipline. That's a brief description of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 87 ayes, 0 nays, and 12 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5649.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5652 relating to the hotel occupancy tax.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman the 18th, Douglas Butler, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 5652 amends the definitions in Chapter 7, Article 18, Section 3 to authorize a county commission by ordinance to designate a construction campsite as a hotel for purposes of the hotel occupancy tax, while specifically excluding recreational campsites. Any designation must follow a public notice and hearing, expires after 5 years unless renewed, and taxes collected must be deposited into a special revenue fund dedicated solely to public safety services. The bill requires operators of designated construction campsites to collect and remit the tax on each occupied construction campsite lot. This is a brief summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman the 5th, Douglas Fluharty, is recognized.
Gentleman yield.
Sure.
So this is a tax that is not currently being collected, right?
It is.
So this is a new tax?
Well, it is in the sense that it's being applied to someone new, yes.
So we can say it out loud. It's a new tax, isn't it?
I don't know if I could do that. No, This is, the hotel occupancy tax is applied to hotels. This is applying it to these campsites. If the county commission goes through the public notice process and the ordinance is approved.
And this is for work sites, right?
It is.
What's contemplated? So these are companies that have come into West Virginia, have paid money to get licensed, to do jump through all the hoops with the expectation that they would not be paying this tax. And now that they're here, we're putting this tax on them.
Well, the tax is not on the companies. The tax is on people who are coming into our communities to work. So these are not really our neighbors, our community members. These are people who are coming maybe from out of state or from other communities.
I'm sorry, so we're taxing the employees.
These would be taxing the people who are renting these camper lots, yes.
Who work for these companies?
Yes.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, he said it pretty clearly. This is a brand new tax. It's on companies that have come to West Virginia, have spent lots of money, are employing people, and did so with the expectation that we would treat them fairly and they would not have this tax put upon them. And now, in the middle of the game, we're changing the rules and we're adding a tax. So I don't think my big government tax and spend friends on the other side of the aisle are going to support this, and neither will I. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 84th, Delegate Jennings is recognized.
Will the delegates stand? Sure. What are they supposed to spend this money for? Why is it? Why did they want this?
It's dedicated specifically for public safety concerns, so EMS service, police service, fire, that type of thing.
Now you know why I stood. And we need those that, because these could be several hundred people, and we have to ramp up the EMS, the fire, and the police, and it's for a temporary, specific period of time. Thank you.
From the 79th, Delegate Hanson is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
How does this bill distinguish between those camps that are taxed and those that are not taxed?
It allows the county commissioners to evaluate them. These campsites are obviously for construction purposes. They're the ones around Mason County at this time, and hopefully in your district at some point, are built right next to the construction areas. So they're clearly they're not recreational campsites. Those are defined and those are specifically left out. These construction campsites are facilities that are obviously for the construction purposes.
So they're not recreational campsites. So these are like the man camps that you see around the state?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman, the 18th, to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a few points I'd like to make about this is, as we've talked about here, it applies only if there's a need and the process by the county commissioner is followed, and I hope everyone here needs one of these soon. This applies to people who are high-paid workers that are not from our community, and this is a charge for services. This is not being taxed for something that they're not getting. And without this funding, our permanent residents may be left without public services because they would be stretched too thin. This does not apply to recreational campgrounds, which is clearly defined in this bill, and it automatically sunsets after 5 years. So I urge passage. Thank you.
Debate on the bill has been closed. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 28 ayes, 62 nays, 9 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the bill lost. Clerk will please report the next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5684, relating to authorizing the Supreme Court of Appeals to create child protection commissioners.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having this bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 55th to explain the bill, Delegate Akers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is not a new tax. Just remember that when you vote. House Bill 5684 is, let me just give a description of what this is for, Mr. Speaker, versus just talking about the bill. Child abuse and neglect in this state is something we've been talking about for a long, long time that is It's a crisis situation. It's one of the most significant challenges that we have faced in this state for probably decades now. I know when I started practicing law here in Kanawha County, I believe the Kanawha County Prosecutor's Office had 2 abuse and neglect prosecutors. I think they're now up to, I think it's around 8 full-time. Those numbers have just exploded statewide, and we know that the primary driver of that is the substance abuse problem we have in this state. And that's why earlier today, when we had the debate on the bill regarding the medical cannabis fund, you heard that there was a dedicated portion of that that is supposed to go towards child protection commissioners, which is what House Bill 5684 establishes. I want to thank the Supreme Court for their work with me and the rest of my committee on their open-mindedness on this concept. And I want to thank the members of our Judiciary Committee for being supportive of this bill. It's a novel and new idea that we've never done before in the state of West Virginia. I know we get lost in a lot of bills, and I don't want to pat our committee in the back too much, but I will say that if this bill passes and if these commissioners are enabled, this will be one of the most significant changes to the child abuse and neglect system in a long, long time in the state of West Virginia. What we have now is we have circuit judges who handle these cases, and they do the very best they can, but they're usually trying to jam as many abuse and neglect cases into their docket, maybe 1 day a week, maybe 2, despite the fact that in some counties, these cases can make up half or more of a circuit judge's docket. Here in Kanawha County, with 8 judges, it averages 30% or more of the judges' dockets. There's just not enough time to pay to these cases, no matter how hard the judges work. We see that the CPS workers are running from court to court. We see that the guardians ad litem, whose numbers keep shrinking, whose payments are not high, they're running from courthouse to courthouse. It's just extremely difficult work, and it's part of the problem we have. And we have to, it's a multifaceted issue. There's no single solution to abuse and neglect, but the point of contact for most of these kids and the launching pad forward for whether they're going to succeed or they're going to potentially have even more challenges in life is the court system. That's their primary point of contact. That's where the wraparound services usually begin. So what this bill does, Mr. Speaker, is it establishes child protection commissioners. This will be a pilot program in different parts of the state where the court will, by rule, promulgate these commissioners who will 5 days a week, so this will be a full-time job. Instead of a circuit judge trying to do this once or twice a week at best, these child protection commissioners will take these abuse and neglect cases, and the bill describes the work they're going to do. They'll do the heavy lifting on the abuse and neglect side, and then they will send their recommendations and their reports to the circuit judges who will maintain jurisdiction over the juveniles. They don't give that up, but it will provide more points of contact for the kids in the Child Protection Commission cases. The commissioners will see the kids more often. The wraparound services will be in front of the commissioners more often. The guardians ad litem will have a single point of contact, and the CPS workers will also have a single point of contact. I won't say this is something that was completely novel to me. It is something that the state of Texas started several years ago. It was so successful there during my conversations with their court system that they went from a commissioner system to a full-time court system in the state of Texas, and they reported that this just works much, much better. It's easier on the lawyers, easier on the judges, but primarily it provides better results to the kids. So that's the purpose of this bill, Mr. Speaker. I could not be more proud to present this one here today. This has been a long time coming as far as I'm concerned. I urge a yes vote on this, and again, appreciative of everyone's support. Thank you.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 53rd, Douglas Leavitt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to commend the Chairman of Judiciary and all of that committee for putting so much work into this. This is a fantastic bill, and I'm very, very glad we have it in front of us. I urge its passage.
Gentleman from the 91st, Douglas Masters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to commend the Judiciary Chair working on this. This is a realm of law that I practice an awful lot of. We are indeed in a crisis mode. So, novel approach, but a place we could use some novel ideas, and I wish it well. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the bill? Does the gentleman wish to close debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 92 ayes, 0 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5684.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk. Will begin to remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5685, relating to authorizing bonds for improvements to the West Virginia Science and Culture Center.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, Gentleman from the 12th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would authorize up to $12 million from excess lottery funds to be used to pay debt service for revenue bonds issued by the Economic Development Authority beginning July 1 of 2026. The revenue bonds are to be issued for the purpose of providing funds for paying for all or a portion of the cost of acquiring, repairing, reconstructing, equipping, improving, or maintaining capital improvement projects for the State Cultural Center. The principal amount of the bonds issued under the new sections may not exceed $150 million for the term of no longer than 20 years. The Secretary of Tourism is to submit a list of proposed capital improvements to the Governor on or before September 1 of 2026. On or before September 30th of 2026, the Governor is to certify to the Economic Development Authority a list of capital improvements to be paid for by the funds received from the revenue bonds to be issued. The Governor may certify to the authority a revised list of capital improvements for the State Cultural Center prior to the issuing of bonds authorized by the new provisions. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 100th, take it right now, is recognized.
I went over with the Speaker and with a number of other folks to the Cultural Center yesterday to take a look at the conditions there. I expected, as I think the Speaker did, that we might need some paint, maybe a couple of mops and buckets of water. That place is in serious condition. We're lucky, frankly, that we haven't had catastrophic issues in the facility. The boilers, the electrical systems, a lot of the major maintenance items are decades old. You wouldn't allow them in your home, your business. Frankly, you wouldn't allow them pretty much any place, maybe a Navy ship. Rick will appreciate that because some of our ships are 50 years old. But it's pretty bad. We need to really work on this. This will be a drop in the bucket, but it's a needed drop in the bucket. It's something that I think we're going to have to do if we're actually going to maintain that facility. I had to ask at the end, is it cheaper to tear this place down and rebuild it? Because there are so many problems in the facility. They said they've done an assessment of it to actually determine whether it would be cheaper to rebuild this facility rather than engage in the absolutely necessary reconstruction and maintenance in there. So I strongly urge us to not only support this bill, but other allocations to try and bring that. It is ancient. Well, it's not ancient, but you know, it's got a lot of years on it. It's me too, but you know, that's the way it goes. I need refurbishment as well. I urge adoption. Thank you.
Again, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of Gentleman 12th to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The summer of 1976, that's when this building opened, 50 years ago. And as many of you have looked, and many of you have knowledge, either from the insurance business or the construction-related businesses, you could see some of the problems that we need to address in the building. Also, in this authorization, we are giving the Secretary of Tourism the opportunity to build a facility off-site for her archives. And if you've done any research with the Smithsonian Institute, they have a series of buildings in Virginia and a series of buildings in Maryland, I believe, that they have done the same thing. They've gone off-site where they perform their history lessons and to categorize their relics as they come in. That's something that we need to take out of that particular building over there and be able to continue to do to maintain our culture and our history. If we do that, that should help reduce some of the practical problems of being able to do the reconstruction, especially on the electrical system and moving those transformers out. As you noticed, if you went through the building, that you can tell that the plaza area around the building is actually the roof. And so some of those sections not necessarily have to be replaced, but the sealant needs to be done, caulking needs to be done in places so that we don't have the leaks that you've seen in the ceiling that continue to happen on top of some of the electrical. So I appreciate this as a tool for the administration to take a look at using this, but I think it's critical that we turn this situation around immediately and get this started. It's a shame that we are in this position. Here we are celebrating 250 years of our country and that our facility is not up to snuff, and we'd like to see it that way. So appreciate your all's vote on trying to get this passed, and let's get our store in order here. Thank you very much.
Debate on the bill has been closed. Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine. Lady from the 9th, your vote didn't register. Delegate Kelly. Clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. Also, lady from the 80th, Delegate Hamilton, your vote didn't register. Clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 88 ayes, 5 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5685.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5686, relating to the timing of payments of annually required deposit into an eligible recipient's Hope Scholarship account.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman, the 23rd, Delegate Worrell to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5686 changes the payment method for the Hope Scholarship accounts. It moves it, starting July 1, 2026, moves it to quarterly payments made no later than August 15th, October 15th, January 15th, and April 15th of every year. That's a summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Or is there debate on the bill? Chairman from the 54th, Delegate Pushkin is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
So this is very different from the bill that was first originated in finance, correct?
This is a separate originating bill.
A separate originating bill. And all it breaks down the payments into how many payments?
Into 4 payments.
Quarterly payments?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did the, I remember very well my friend over here from Lewis County made an amendment years ago that expanded the Hope Scholarship for all students, correct? So that's what we're anticipating, a huge increase in the amount what we're going to be paying?
Oh, I'm not sure about that, Delegate. I would just say this bill relates to moving it from semi-annual payments to quarterly payments.
But why are we doing that?
Oh, I think that's a policy decision of this body.
But you're a member of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm going to be voting in favor. I urge passage of the bill.
Okay. Thank you for yielding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's obvious because why we're doing this, because the budget's about to get extremely increase because of a decision that was made here several years ago to completely open up this voucher program to students that have never been in a public school. So just a matter is a policy decision. That was the decision that this body made years ago, and now we are literally going to be paying for it, except we can't pay for it all at once. We got to break it down into 4 different payments because we can't afford it. Yeah, we just voted down a proposal to actually fund our public schools. We don't have the money for that. Yet we're going to continue to pay for this effort to take money away from our public schools. And you would think, I mean, that possibly there was a concerted effort to completely defund our public schools. If I didn't know y'all better, that's what I might surmise.
Is there further debate on the bill? Chair's been asked to conduct a Rule 49 vote on this bill. So at this time, Chair will ask the clerk to please prepare a Rule 49 vote. Those members who seek a ruling by the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 as to your eligibility to vote on this particular question as a result of in some way being involved with the program, please register your request by voting either yes or no. Clerk will prepare the machine. Have all members who seek a ruling pursuant to House Rule 49 registered your request? If so, the clerk will please close the machine. It is the ruling of the chair that all members who seek a ruling by the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 are eligible to vote on this question as members of a class of greater than five or greater individuals. Gentlemen, wish to close debate on the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 91 ayes, 1 nay, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5686.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
House Bill 5687, relating to reducing the tax rate imposed on the gross value of metallurgical coal produced in this state.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 12th to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill would reduce the tax rate imposed on gross value of metallurgical coal severed beginning July 1 of 2026. The current tax rate of 5% would be reduced to the following percentages as follows. July 1 of 2026 through June 30th of 2027 to 4.5%. July 1 of 2027 through June 30th of 2028, 4%. July 1 of 2028 and thereafter, 3.5%. Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 5th, Douglas Fluharty, is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, yield just a few questions. So I'm not in finance. I want to get an idea of the necessity for this. Was there testimony that we've had major job losses in southern West Virginia in particular in the coal mine industry?
Yes, sir.
And when did that surge in job losses start? Was it in the last year?
Yes, sir.
Were there reasons identified for that surge in job losses?
Just other than that the metallurgical coal market had, for steel production, had fallen off worldwide, and we have become uncompetitive in some of our areas, plus the fact that China had made a better deal with Australian coal than they did with us.
And how were they able to do that? Was that because of the tariffs that were implemented?
It could have been.
Could have been?
Could
Any
have been.
testimony in committee about the tariffs?
I don't remember, sir.
But that's when this change happened, right? It was after the tariffs hit, and then there were retaliatory tariffs with China, and we went from a top producing state to China to barely producing at all, didn't we?
Could be.
That's what I thought. Thank you for yielding.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm going to rise in support of our southern coal fields today and actually speak the truth, because a lot of people in here won't. I know the guy across the hall won't speak the truth about what's going on, and that's for the past year. There has been a war on met coal, and it's from tariffs. That's a fact. West Virginia is a top met coal producer. We, in 2023, represented 46% of total U.S. met coal production. And where does that go? It goes to China. And since the tariffs were implemented, China has said no thanks. We're not going to purchase from West Virginia. And we're no longer competitive, as the gentleman said. So in 2024, one of our top producers in southern West Virginia had 5 million tons of met coal shipped to China. They don't expect to do any this year. And that's why we've lost nearly 1,000 jobs in the met coal area in southern West Virginia. 1,000 jobs. Now, had we done something to gain 1,000 jobs, our governor and many other people would hold a ribbon cutting. But they're not going to hold a ribbon cutting when war notices go out. They're not going to tell the truth and speak the truth to power on what the causation really is, these tariffs. Energy production. According from the U.S. Energy Information Agency, the coal exports dropped 11% overall in the first half of 25, with China accounting for 76% of the drop in met coal, directly related to the tariffs. We used to have 46% of our production was in met coal going to China, and now it's being squandered, and jobs are being lost. So we just got to tell the truth. That's what we're elected to do. I'm going to do that today. I wish we would do that more often, but I will support what we're doing here today because our backs are against the wall, and we're losing jobs, and we're losing production, and we're losing a lot of hope in southern West Virginia. So I'll support the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the second, Douglas Teselo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure that that tariffs are the reason for this problem. Matter of fact, I can almost bet that it's not. You know, I had a cousin who went over to Australia and worked in a met coal mine. The met coal mine had 32 feet of coal in one seam, all metallurgical grade and ready to go. And as a matter of fact, they could only mine 16 feet of it because that was what the continuous miner could do. About 5 years ago, or thereabouts, we had a series of severe floods in Australia. And a lot of their mines got flooded. They had no place to go but the United States to get their metallurgical coal. Those floods abated, and once again, as it was back then, the price of metallurgical coal is set by Australia. They control the market in metallurgical grade coal. You can talk about tariffs, you can talk about all kinds of things. And one of the reasons I will join the gentleman from the 5th in supporting this bill is because it's a real issue. Hopefully it'll get lightened up in the near future, but it's not about tariffs, it's about competition, and the competition comes from Australia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 22nd, Delegate Linville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to inform the body of a couple base things. So I've been chatting with the Coal Association for years, actually, about the export market because of how much that our severance taxes, in fact, do play in our economy here in the state of West Virginia. First, let's maybe discuss the levels of taxation surrounding this. So West Virginia right now taxes metallurgical coal at 5%, while Alabama taxes it at 33 cents a ton. Now, our 5% equaled out to, on average, $6.61 per ton last year. Virginia has a 1% severance tax, and counties can impose another 1%. Kentucky has a 4.5% severance tax, but all exported coal is entirely exempted from it. Entirely. And 75% of their market is export. Maryland, 30 cents per ton, but that's only on surface production. Utah, nothing. So, as we're trying to stay competitive, we do need to look at this. We did this for thermal coal a few years ago. Now let's talk about the international markets a little bit, right? Alabama obviously is on the Gulf Coast, right? We've got to get all of our coal to the Gulf, typically. It can also go through the Port of Baltimore, right? But we start off at about a $15 per ton disadvantage to Australia when you're shipping to Asia. right? Because we've got to go all the way around the world effectively, okay? Now, interestingly enough, it's not somehow just tariffs. The concern, frankly, that the Coal Association has brought to me is that we're beginning to see a shift in where population and additional steel making is actually going on. China's population appears to be at a position where they're unlikely to continue to grow at the rate that they previously had, and therefore they don't need to build as many buildings. So as a result of that, they need less steel. And as a result of that, they're going to produce less steel. So where's the market shifting to? And the answer to that is India. And it's even more expensive for us to get our coal from here to India than it is from here to, for instance, China. So this bill is both looking at the current export issues that we have and the cost of freight and transportation, but also those that we're going to have in the out years, right? As India begins to do that, we're only going to be at a further disadvantage. As the market moves, we're only going to be at a further disadvantage, for instance, to Australia. So you can try to put blame on this wherever you wish, but the reality is the market is moving. And if that market and that steel production market moves to India, we're at a further just freight disadvantage on getting things onto ships and where the market is for that. So at the end of the day, this bill is simple. It tries to support our coal miners. It tries to support all of southern West Virginia and a fair piece of north central West Virginia. It's clear that this will help us, and it's clear that this will begin to diminish some of that disadvantage that we have as it relates to shipping this coal. So for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage.
Delegate from the 47th, Delegate Canterbury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I think that because of the tariffs, in fact, our problem in the steel industry or the coal industry here may be temporary, because I think in large part due to the tariffs, we're seeing a reshoring of the steel industry, and this will, of course, create a larger domestic market for our coal. For example, I see here that Pacific Steel Group is breaking ground on a $540 million, 500,000 square foot Mojave micro mill in California. U.S. Forged Rings, USFR, launching an $875 million specialty steel plant in Hertford County, North Carolina. J.D. Field's HDM Spiral Weld Mill expanding from Texas to create a new steel pipe fabrication center in Maryland. U.S. Steel investing in Alabama's Fairfield tubular operations, planning to restart a blast furnace production in Granite City, Illinois in 2026. Boston Metal expanding in Massachusetts, and I'm sure there are others. And a large part of that is probably due to the leverage we're getting from tariffs, which I think will benefit the met coal industry, but in the meantime, we certainly have to do what we can to help them. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 79th, Delegate Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate my friend from the 5th for standing up here and telling the truth about what's happening. I think if you listen to some people, some lobbyists in the industry, there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance going on, and they'll use terms like, well, it's market conditions. You know, they don't want to be straight about what's causing those market conditions. They may say things like, well, there's increased competition from Australia or something like that. And that all may be true. There may be shifting market conditions. There may be increasing competition from Australia. But why is that occurring? That's occurring because of the trade war that was picked with China that's damaging West Virginia's economy and workers in West Virginia coal mines. So just think about this. West Virginia coal has been hit with a large tariff from China. There's no similar tariff on Australian coal because they struck a deal with Australia. It wasn't a trade war, it was a deal. Australia's winning, West Virginia's losing. That's why we need this bill.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 35th, Doug Vance, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the, or maybe Mr. Speaker, sorry about that. Would the Chairman of Finance?
Gentleman from the 12th yield for a question.
Yes, sir.
when we cut this, or if we vote this to go through and to help the coal companies out, what's the amount of money that the southern counties will lose?
I didn't hear your question.
What's the amount of money that the southern counties of southern West Virginia will lose?
The counties will be held harmless because we do that upfront. The cut in the tax will actually be at the state level in the severance tax accounts.
So
And the first year should be between $14 and $15 million.
So the counties won't lose, it'll be the
No, the
state.
counties do not lose, the municipalities won't lose. Where we did the revenue sharing, quote-unquote revenue sharing that we do on a quarterly basis, that will still be maintained.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So probably more than anybody, I'm going to kind of address the bill, Speaker.
Yes, gentleman's recognized.
Probably more than anybody in here, I'm affected by this than y'all of you. That's what I work in, met coal. The coal, I've been underground for 20 years, almost 21, working in met coal mines. Every mines I've worked in, that's what it's been. That's what most of our mines are down in the southern part of the state. So as long as it doesn't affect our county money that's coming in from that, I do believe that they probably need a little bit of a break just because of market. Now, whether it's tariffs or whatever, for 21 years, that's all I've seen. Well, even longer than that, my dad worked in the coal mine, so I've lived from some pretty rough times sometimes during layoffs and stuff because of markets. So whether it's tariffs or whatever it is, it's been whatever it is, we need to help out and try to get some jobs. Do I think this will get the jobs back? Probably not. It's not my thinking on it. I don't think giving them a little bit of a tax break is going to put jobs back into the coal industry. I don't, because the market will still be the market. But I will say this. Australia has flooded the market with met coal for a long, long time. And most of the time when we see an uptick in our market to go up, it's when they have a natural disaster. When the mines gets flooded or something like that, then the rest of the world is begging for our coal, and they'll pay the high prices to get it over. So I will say this too, and I'll keep from rambling, and I know probably most of you don't care about it, but I've worked in the mines where Pocahontas number 3 seam where we sold coal for $450, $460 a ton. And in that same mines, when the markets went down, we sold it for about $80. Had nothing to do with the tariff at that time, had nothing to do with anything but just global markets. At that time, we had layoffs, and they tried to run the mines the best they could, and the best way that they could was they had a longwall, and it produced a massive amount of coal. The smaller mines that's around now, you don't see longwall down on our side no more, hardly. It's all smaller mines. I hope that this will benefit them. I hope that we'll get more jobs, and I hope it'll open up more coal. So I'm going to be a yes on it. But I really don't think that that's what's going to happen through it. But I'm going to be a yes on that to support it because it's my livelihood. I have to take a chance on it. And most of the people in southern West Virginia has to take a chance on it too. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is, shall the bill pass? Is there further debate on the bill? Does the gentleman 12th wish to close debate on the bill? The gentleman is recognized to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hate to say it, but here's another history lesson. I was born in 1954. Governor Marlin was the governor. He stood at that podium, and you could see in the newsreels, he offered the first severance tax on coal during his administration. This place went wild. They were absolutely, unbelievably against him. Eventually, they got it through. And so over my lifetime, severance tax has been a big part of your ability to sit here and make judgment on the things we need to do. And it's going to continue. In 1979 was the first serious coal collapse as far as pricing was concerned in our lifetimes. And we had a serious problem under the Rockefeller administration because they continued to spend money without the money coming in. And it caused us a financial crisis by the time that Governor Rockefeller left office. It took us a generation of time to oversee the financial burdens that he created during his administration. And today, we're still paying for that in the 40-year teachers' retirement program that will expire in 2034. coal production was able to retrieve itself, and by 1997, we had produced 182 million tons of coal that year. That's pretty serious, and that was very thankful that we were able to do that. But the war on coal came again under the Obama administration, and he tried to put us all out of business. In 2024, the last year we have full year records, we were down to 86 million tons. That's nearly 100 million tons of coal since the height in 1997. Our industries are struggling. You know, we're in an opportunity that I said earlier that manufacturing has an opportunity to come back. The gentleman from the 47th just referred to steel mills that are around the country. And even though Nucor, that is in Mason County, will probably not use metallurgical coal because they are a recycling steel operation, there will be blast furnaces that will need our coal to make coke, to make quality steel. And that will happen. But as the gentleman from Wyoming County talked about, temporarily we're going to have a problem here because we're going to be putting some miners off layoff. And that's not good. We've got to help all of our businesses. We've passed small business credits. We've tried to do everything we can to help everybody in this state. And it's important that we help the ones that brought us to the dance. So please, please, vote for these reductions. We stair-stepped them down. The effect is going to be okay as far as our budgets and revenues are concerned. So I'd appreciate your yes vote on this. Thank you very much.
Debate on the bill has been closed. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 92 ayes, 1 nay, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5687.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Are there further bills on third reading? If not, bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5625 relating to the licensure of radon mitigators, testers, contractors, and laboratories.
Bill will be advanced. Further bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 607 relating to federally approved project delivery methods for an airport capital improvement projects.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 690 creating alternative DOA's procurement procedure.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5412 Future Ready Education Act.
Gentleman, the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the constitutional rule requiring the bill to be read 3 separate days be suspended.
Gentleman, the first moves that the constitutional rule requiring that the bill be read on 3 separate days be dispensed with. Objection. It is a motion. It does have to be voted on. Gentleman, the first has moved that the constitutional rule requiring that the bill be read on 3 separate days be dispensed with and that the bill be taken up for immediate consideration, read a second and third time, and put upon its passage. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 80 ayes, 11 nays, and 8 members absent. 4/5 of members present and voting having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the motion adopted. The clerk will please read the bill a second time.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5412 Future Ready Education Act.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading, and the clerk will please read the bill a third time.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5412 Future Ready Education Act.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? If not, gentleman from the 77, Douglas Statler, to explain the bill.
No, sir, I don't want to explain the bill. I had an amendment in the system.
Gentleman does have an amendment pending.
I do.
Chair missed the amendment. We'll return to amendment stage on the bill. Chair's in error.
Mr. Speaker, the amendment just clearly clears up a date that was put in the bill wrong. It's in the bill on page 4, section 13, line 9, by striking out 27, 28, and inserting in lieu of there 26 and 27.
Is the amendment available in the system for all members? Okay, the question now is on adoption of the amendment as just reported by the gentleman from the 77th, Delegate Statler. Is there debate on this amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the clerk will please read the bill a third time as amended.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5412, Future Ready Education Act.
The question now is on passage of the bill. From the 72nd, Delegate Riley is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would authorize local fiscal bodies to obligate funds beyond 1 year if there is a fiscal savings to the body for multi-year contracts. The bill would also provide the following: extend the Mountain State Digital Literacy Project from grades K through 12 and expand the services and fields of study. Second, it would require the Department of Education to provide kindergarten through 5th grade classroom training to provide literacy instruction and intensive training in the science of reading. I urge passage.
The question again is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 90 ayes, 2 nays, and 7 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5412.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on first reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5669, prohibiting the homeschooling of children in certain circumstances.
Gentleman the 5th, Delegate Fluharty.
Speaker, I move the constitutional rule requiring that each bill be read on 3 separate days be suspended for the purpose of having the calm sub for House Bill 5669 be read a second time and advance to third reading so that Rayleigh's Law could finally get an up and down vote based on its merit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is on the motion that the constitutional rule requiring the bill be read on 3 separate days be dispensed with and that the bill be read a second and third time and put upon its passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 50 ayes, 40 nays, and 9 members absent. Less than 4/5 of the members present and vote having voted in the affirmative. Chair declares the motion lost. Bill to be advanced to second reading. Lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My vote failed to register. I was pushing my button and it would not come on.
Chair did not notice that. How would the lady like to be recorded?
Nay.
Chair will ask the clerk to please record the vote of the lady from the 71st as having voted in the negative on the motion. Thank you. Further bills on first reading. Leaves of absence, gentleman from the 1st.
For our colleagues, Delegates Petito, Drennan, Brian Smith, and Watt.
Are there objections to leaves of absence being granted? No objections are heard and leaves of absence will be granted. Introductions. Miscellaneous business. Gentleman the 35th, Delegate Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to return to the 10th order of business for the purpose of a motion.
Motions are now in order.
All right, motions are now in order. Thank you. Then, pursuant to Rule 82, I believe it is, of the House Rules, I ask that House Bill 5525 be discharged to the floor, out of committee.
Gentleman from the 35th moves that House Bill 5525 be discharged to the floor. Clerk will please report the bill.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 1st.
Move to table.
Gentleman from the 35th has the right of first recognition. Does the gentleman wish to exercise the right? Yes.
Well, yeah, I'll discuss it, yeah.
Okay, the gentleman is recognized as the maker of the motion. Gentleman is recognized first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, this bill is just for House Bill 5525. It is to create the Southern West Virginia Clean Water Fund. I've been 4 years beating the drum down here trying to get some water down there or something. I thought this was a pretty good bill. I know it needed a little bit of work when it went through committee there and didn't get a chance to get here, but I'd like to see it go. I'd like to see something go, so that's why I asked for discharge.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman the first.
Move the table.
Gentleman the first moves that the motion to discharge the bill be laid upon the table. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. For what purpose does the gentleman the fifth seek recognition? Gentleman will state the question.
The pending vote is on the table motion. So if we were to proceed to get to a vote on House Bill 5525 related to the Southern West Virginia Clean Water Fund, we would vote red on the gentleman's motion.
Or nay. Gentleman is correct.
Nay.
Yes, gentleman is correct.
Thank you.
Question again is on the motion offered by the gentleman the first that the motion to discharge be laid upon the table. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the motion to discharge be laid upon the table? Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 40 ayes, 53 nays, and 6 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the motion to lay upon the table lost. The question now is on the motion to discharge the bill from committee. This is a debatable question. Is there debate on the motion? Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of the motion to discharge from committee House Bill 5525 will please say aye. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question before the House is, shall House Bill 5525 be discharged from committee? Those in favor of the motion to discharge House Bill 5525 from committee will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. For what purpose does the gentleman the 72nd seek recognition?
Point of inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, gentleman will state the question.
This bill is it second reference to finance? Would it be discharged to the floor, or would it be discharged in a second reference to finance?
The gentleman's motion was that it be discharged to the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So again, the question before the House is that House Bill 5525 be discharged from committee to the floor. The roll call was requested. Request is sustained. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 52 ayes, 41 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the motion adopted. Clerk will please report the bill.
House Bill 5525 to create the Southern West Virginia Clean Water Fund to be used in water emergencies or to upgrade infrastructure so residences can get clean water.
For what purpose does the gentleman from the 22nd, Douglas Lennon, will seek recognition?
Point of inquiry, Mr. Speaker. Was that a rule suspension vote, given that a discharge typically would advance it to the next committee in the process?
The gentleman offered it as a motion to be discharged to the floor. The bill's now been discharged to the floor. It's been read a first time. It'll now be read a second, or it has been advanced to second reading. So if the body wishes to proceed to further consideration of the bill at this time, the body would have to suspend the constitutional rule requiring the bill be read on 3 separate days.
So that was not a rules, that motion did not require a suspension of the rules?
It did not, but now if the bill is to go further, it does. So the clerk has read the bill the first time. The bill has been advanced. The bill has been advanced to second reading. Gentleman, the 35th, Doug, advance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the constitutional rules requiring bills to be read on 3 separate times be dispensed with, and the bill be brought up for immediate vote.
The question now before the House is that the constitutional rule requiring that the bill be read on 3 separate days be dispensed with, and that the bill be read a second and third time and put upon its passage. This is a 4/5 vote motion. As we've seen before, those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 46 ayes, 47 nays, and 6 members absent, less than 4/5 of members having voted in the affirmative. Chair declares the motion lost. The bill will be advanced to second reading. Other miscellaneous business. Gentleman from the 33rd, Douglas Bridges, is recognized.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Speaker. I guess it's the best time as ever to, pursuant to Rule 82, I move to discharge HB. Huh?
The motion is in order. Gentleman has the right to make the motion.
Discharge House Bill 5475 from the House Judiciary Committee to the floor for a vote.
Clerk will please report House Bill 5475.
House Bill 5475 to make the Public Service Commission an elected position.
Gentleman from the 33rd is the maker of the motion.
I speak to it.
Gentleman is recognized.
Yeah, basically, what we have here is the bill is my proposal from back home, and everybody I've talked to is to take the PSC, the Public Service Commission, from an appointed position to make them an elected position, so they would be beholden to the people that actually put them in office instead of worrying about what AEP says. So I ask a yes vote and yeas and nays.
Gentleman the first.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, when I speak with real men, I expect them to uphold their word. I move to table.
Gentleman from the first moves that the motion to discharge House Bill 5475 be laid upon the table. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion, a roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the motion to discharge House Bill 5475 be laid upon the table? Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 65 ayes, 26 nays, 8 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative. Chair declares the motion adopted. Is there other miscellaneous business? Gentleman the first.
On a lighter note, my other brother, Colin, and his wife, Caroline, just had my mother's 11th grandchild this morning, Cecilia Amelia McGeehan, just about 2 hours ago. So she's, mom and baby are very healthy, and looking forward to meeting another girl, another niece. So 10 girls, 1 male. So.
Other miscellaneous business. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move subject to announcements, the House adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow.
The question is on the motion that the House adjourns 11 a.m. tomorrow. Are there announcements? Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Rules Committee will meet tomorrow at 10:45 in the Speaker's conference room.
Gentleman the 72nd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Finance will meet tomorrow, Thursday, March 5th at 9 a.m. in the House Finance Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Judiciary will meet tomorrow, Thursday, March 5th at 9 a.m. in the Judiciary Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
Gentleman the 39th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's Standing Committee on Government Organization is canceled. Your Standing Committee on Government Organization will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Republicans will caucus at 12:45 in the chair's office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 92nd, Delegate Height.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet tomorrow, Thursday, March 5th at 3:30 p.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. Republican members will caucus at 3. The agenda is posted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman the 43rd, Delegate Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Education will meet today at 4:45 p.m. in the Education Committee room. The agenda is posted to hear on the Senate Bill 890 on the school calendar bill. Additionally, your Standing Committee on Education will meet again tomorrow, Thursday, March the 5th at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. The agenda is posted.
Gentleman the 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Energy and Public Works will meet tomorrow, March 5th at 3 p.m. in the House Judiciary Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Thank you.
Are there further announcements? If not, the question is on the motion that the House adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow.